All right. Into the music. Good morning, good people. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a morning stream on a Sunday, but I plan to try to make these things as normal as possible. But hope everyone's in good spirits. Today's date is August 9th, and the NBA is creeping up on us. So what's good with y'all, man? First off, I want to introduce shout out to my guy Derek, of the Not Just Dribble crew and whatnot. We have a very, very fun tier list we're going to be getting into today. Isn't that right, Derek?
Yeah, man, this is a fun idea as far as like just doing watchability because there's a lot more factors that go in than just like it's your favorite team. I feel like both of us are pretty well established hoop heads, so we like to be up on every team that we possibly can be. But there is definitely factors at play on how often I'm going to watch your team, and we'll definitely get to those like categories we got set up. But I like it. It was a competitive tier list for sure.
Absolutely. The first chat I see, first off, big shout out to JD, but Tank says Warriors D tier. Why we got to start with my team, bro? But all right. I have a tier list here. Let me share the screen for chat so that way the chat can see it right there. So that is the current tier list right there. We will make changes as we progress through it, but I'm gonna zoom out to make sure y'all can see our faces for now, and we can basically discuss exactly how this works. How we're doing it. You can feel free to walk the people through what your tiers were, Derek, or like how you're gonna basically grade it, essentially.
Yes. So, like, there is some level of understanding who watches these teams. There is, like a viewership. I was looking up the numbers, excuse me, just to get a baseline on like who is actually watching who. So I didn't let markets like factor my decision making too much, but I was curious. So I think a lot of our teams that are going to be in S and A tier probably going to go coincide with who everyone's watching. I mean, the factors for like me personally. So as much as I value defense from a coaching perspective,
Yeah,
offenses are way more fun to watch, right? More often than
true.
not. So who's running just good offenses, transition or half court, but also like who runs fun sets is always like a fun thing to like tune into. Who has a lot of ball movement. Again, that's like just something I'm biased towards. I think is fun to watch. And then I think then it comes into obviously your star power, like who is tuning, like who is in this lineup consistently, but who is really playing, which bleeds into my propaganda. So who am I tuning into? Who am I a fan of naturally, but also in these games, like who can I get like my agenda off with? Is definitely always at play, and then rivalries. So if your team is in like a thick rivalry with a few other squads, then I'm going to be more inclined to tune into those games. But if you're just kind of not a great basketball team but also don't have a lot of storylines, then it just makes for like usually not a great watching experience. If the team's not good and there's not a lot going on, not great. So that's mostly what I had at play. You know individual basketball stuff and then individual player stuff.
Perfect. I'll walk you through my criteria as well. Very similar to Derek. I will say I'm a lot more liberal in terms of what I enjoy to watch than Derek because I watch a lot of shit teams. I'm gonna just be honest about it. It's like it's kind of a kink for me at this point to like watch really
All
bad
right,
teams.
let's gotta be a better way to say that.
Probably.
Yeah, gifted is definitely more generous with his viewership time. You know, every team gets a fair shake early on. When everyone's trying, it's great. You
Yeah.
can quickly realize, what this team is, what they're going for, what it's made up of. And yeah, so there are going to be a few teams that in DNF that are going to lose my viewership this year. Uh, Not just on, I also should have included like, so East and West Coast timing. Unfortunately, there is an East Coast bias because it is easier to watch these teams more often than not than West
Yes.
Coast. So
This is true.
unfortunately for me, that is a factor because, we old and we want to get like a decent sleep schedule. Thankfully, gainfully employed. So, those 10 o'clock starts sometimes they're tough. They're tough, and I have to put off games, to like the weekend and stuff like that, or I just miss a few regular season games, and I just don't see the team as much. So that's sadly a factor, but I didn't let it weigh in too much as far as my tier list.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Derek in terms of like the times these games start. By the way, as a Warriors fan last year, Adam Silver, he implemented a 11 p.m. start time in the East Coast,
Yeah.
and that definitely. Now, granted, some of those games were actually bangers, but like knowing that the game is over by like 1:30, and then you have to yap about the game for like 30 minutes to an hour after that, I will be going to sleep around 3 o'clock, and that's just a horrible viewing experience. So that does kind of factor into how I'm viewing these teams. Also, for me, I like to see young players developing. I like to see bad franchises turning their teams around. And I like to also just see, obviously storylines like, okay, this player is in conversation with this player. How do they play when they actually meet up? You know what I'm saying? So those are mine on top of what Derek said. So without further ado, I think we can get right into this because we do have 30 teams to get through. Okay. I'm going to start with the first team. Okay. Sacramento Kings.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much time we need to spend on them. This is a pretty easy F tier for me. Sadly, got the West Coast thing going against them, but their roster has is going against them. Not a lot of propaganda for me to tune into for, a DeMontis Sabonis or Zach LaVine. I'm sorry. Kings basketball, respect to the fandom. You are not a fun watch.
Yeah, for me as well, I gotta say, I watch bad hoops. I do. Not having Westbrook on the team anymore does impact some of the watchability. I think Zach LaVine could be fun this year. I do believe that. My favorite player on this roster is probably Maxime Renaud. I'm a huge Maxime Renaud believer. Can't wait to see his like overall development. And I will say this: Dylan Cardwell is impressive as well. I like Malik Monk too. Like there were nights in the regular season where I actually enjoy watching the Kings, but I think from start to finish for full 82, I also would have the Kings F tier. Sadly, I would say that.
I'll read off my notes. So, like, I gave a little tidbit. Really, it was a lot of just like questions about this season and the team and what I'm going to be thinking of, especially early on. The Kings might have been the worst as far as my notes, unfortunately. Crimes against my eyes. Please fire sale. No hope this year. Wrote that late last night. So, some of these are probably not going to make a lot of sense. Reading them with fresher eyes this morning. But yeah, man, there is young talent. Unfortunately, there's young talent on virtually every roster. And, you did shout out a few interesting players. In the chat, Acuff is a good shout. Not my kind of player personally that I would tune into. I hope for him a good career and a good season. But man, no motivation for late nights to watch the Kings play.
Yeah, no. I'm not really sure what to expect from Acuff, so that part might be interesting. I'm hoping it's not what we got in Summer League because my God, he really struggled severely in Summer League. If it's more of that for like a full 82, it's gonna be a brutal watch. So yeah, Kings are in F tier. Next team, the Milwaukee Bucks. Another team that traded their best player. Where do you put the Bucks?
Notes are Ryan Rollins is cool. What is the direction exactly? Tyler Hero go average 30 ? We're getting him out early. This is another F tier for me. No propaganda players personally. Again, Ryan Rollins is a shout, but unfortunately, I'm just not interested in this roster. I don't think there's a great direction currently. Every team suffers when they trade a mega superstar like this because you bring back pieces that may or may not be fit long term. So there's talent here. It's not to say that this is like completely devoid of talent, but talent I don't find particularly interesting. And I think in such a competitive Eastern Conference, this is the odd man out team wise. So I mean, for me, this is a team I'm just no interest in tuning into.
All right, so me personally, the Tyler Hero solo carry I will enjoy watching on certain nights. I'm curious about if Khalil Ware can beat the Spoelstra development allegations because
Mm,
he just couldn't get any like real minutes. And I do think the archetype of what Ware is very important for the NBA. So like if he can actually be good, that could be fire. But he's like a very low motor player at times. So like there'll be nights where he had 24 points and 13 rebounds, and then he'll have a night where he had 5 and he had maybe 6 rebounds. So I don't really love that per se. I just think off the strength of like watching the young players cook with Braden Burries and then also Tyler Hero, I put them in D tier, which to me is let the TV on. Like, it's on. It's on. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a bottom tier. I think I would actually rather watch the Bucks than the Kings if you had to put like a gun in my head, honestly.
I mean, that's it, right? Like, I think so far we're asking the worst of the worst versus I agreed, maybe not the worst, but I'm really close. Like, Miles
Yeah,
Turner's on this team, and unfortunately, that's going to impact Ware's development, right? Like,
sure.
can Ware and Turner share the floor together? Possibly. Should they? Probably not. So that's what I mean. When you have these teams where they're really directionless in a lot of ways, it's difficult to want to tune in consistently until, again, like deadlines can help teams, can obviously help or hurt. And I think this could be a more interesting team come deadline because there's probably some Miami players that could get shopped. And then suddenly, like, it looks a little more interesting. So I don't know. I mean, in this situation, like, am I really going to argue too much as far as D tier? Maybe not. Or this is a situation where if we're really like hotly contested, we can throw it to the chat to like decide. I'm okay with D tier, but they're close, man. They're close to an F watch as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not mad at the big F tier. If I'm going off the chat, Emperor said I got to watch 5 games of Burries in the Met. Bucks versus Heat is a must watch. It is Bucks versus Heat a
One
must
time
watch? Is
is
it?
not really. No, because I mean, like, well, to your point. So is it Hero Revenge game versus the
That could be
Heat?
fun.
Because that's kind of like I think the pitch.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think anybody else has like the same attachment per se, like a Jaquez. You know what I mean? Like who's really the agenda for in that situation? I mean, Giannis revisiting Milwaukee, cool, that's interesting. And then like, like you said, Hero being, such a good scorer, maybe lights it up. Um it's true as far as Bam and Hero did have that summer league thing. So maybe they end up going at it a little bit, but like I don't know. I mean, that just we'll get to Miami, but I feel like that's, just a not a pretty game. I think it's a fun like tune in and then I walk away to do something kind of situation. That I think which
Right.
maybe that puts them in D tier for that game, but
That's
ooh,
all I'm saying.
man.
Yeah. Well, since you're fine with it, we can reevaluate this by the way after we're done with our teams.
Sure,
But for
sure.
now, we'll put them in the D tier. Also, I have upgraded the tier names. Um, Adam Silver, take my money should be one, and what that means is like you're buying Amazon Prime, you're buying like wherever this game is at, you are a part of that service to watch that game, and then
Yeah,
obviously
the
League Pass
16
activated.
ways.
Yeah,
Yeah. The 16 ways you need to watch the league, you know.
right, right. So, I gotta think of a name for A tier, but we'll get there. Let me give you the next team, Derek. Now this is gonna be a funny one. Okay, the Orlando Magic.
Mm.
Where are we putting the Orlando Magic on the NBA watchability tier list?
Going through my list, like I told you, I didn't have them completely ordered, but I was confident in putting together this tier. They were the top of C tier for me.
Okay.
Orlando's a team I have many agendas for. Unfortunately, they are a brutal watch. So especially last season just went horribly for my like hottest take and probably toughest agenda as far as Paulo is concerned. But I'm a ride or die Desmond Bain fan. There might be four of us out there, but we hold strong. Jalen Suggs has always been a fun player. Franz, like this is a very interesting collective roster. I think could
Yeah,
be
it is.
fun individually. Unfortunately, most of last season, no one seemed to really put it together, especially for the full 82. I think Bain had a really tough stretch to start the season and then kind of put it together. But of course, Franz and Paulo once again to take turns getting injured. So new coach, new system, obviously fingers crossed, but I think it's safe to put them in C tier just based off of the reputation, what we have to look like. And that offense got putrid at times last year. So I think C's the best I can do right now.
Yeah. Me personally, I had this team D tier. I hate watching the Magic. And part of it is because they just wind up being this hurt team that's never full during the season. Part of it is also like the only best parts of the games when they close out game because you never know exactly what you're gonna get. Like I remember
Right.
tuning into like the last 4 or 5 minutes, and sometimes okay, Paulo, good shit, or it's like a moving sidestep three for the game. That's what we end like. But like a full like I'm watching this game from all the way beginning to the end. I just can't really subscribe to for that team. I'm down to compromise and put them at like the bottom of C tier. But like for me, they were D
Okay.
tier.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had D tier moments. I think this team coming into this season does have a lot going for it. I think it's going to be extremely competitive. And that's the thing. There's another team on here later that I think will be really stinky, but is going to be in a lot of competitive games. And so that by itself, if I trust we're going to get a competitive game, then like, okay, that'll be interesting for the watch,
Yeah,
even if they sell. You know what I mean? So
true.
if you get me into those situations, then it's like, okay, that's pretty good. Uh, One of the notes I also had is like Anthony Black could go crazy. I think there is a
He could
world where
hoop.
Jalen Suggs is moved as well, and Anthony Black, rises up a bit as well.
Mm,
So I think
okay.
there's some agenda for sure, and I just have too many agendas for this team, so that's why I think like C tier that's a fair compromise.
Yeah. I think the other part that'll get me to C tier as well is at least they fired their coach. There is the new coach from the Spurs who had their defense humming. So like maybe this team could be more like I used to like to watch Magic because of defense, and I think
Yeah,
Emperor hit it on the head in chat. Either they're a top 5 defense or they run it back to the ghetto. Agree. Agree. Like that has to be the way that they dominate the regular season to make the playoffs. So yeah, I'm fine with putting them and it fits because I'm definitely not paying for a service to watch them play. If they're on my TV, sure. Cool. You know what I'm saying?
that's fair. Yeah.
Okay. Next team. Now, Derek, I'm not gonna hold you. This team's gonna be interesting. One of the more interesting teams, okay? The Washington Wizards.
Mm,
Where do
mm.
we put the 2026 new look Washington Wizards? Go ahead.
When we were talking the other day, this was the team I was debating on putting S tier, and I
Okay.
ended up landing on A. This is a team that has two very polarizing players, especially for myself, in Trae Young and Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm.
But those are two also very interesting players that could make very, very interesting basketball, good or bad. Uh, Combining that with a really exciting young core, I think they're a pretty easy A. A lot of athleticism, a lot of highlight potential, definitely some interesting propaganda. I think Alex Sarr is number one on my board as like just a dark horse awards contender, and we'll get to that I'm sure down the line. But I think the Wizards are in such a good spot, and I think have such a good outlook for the season where even if it doesn't turn into a ton of win success on the board, it's a lot of development, a lot of highlights, and just a jump start for this fandom that so desperately needs hope in some capacity. So to me, I feel like they're an easy A. I could listen to an S tier argument.
All right. So I'm gonna tell you what my thought process was. So this is one of the teams where I looked at and I asked myself, okay, why would they be S tier? And what I came up with is the electricness of AJ DeBosta with his dunks and highlight reels. Uh, um, Trey Young playmaking to get him the basketball, but also deep threes could be fun.
Sure.
And I pictured in my head, okay, if Anthony Davis is healthy, like how fun the games could be at the end of games if they're competitive. I also thought about other players, which again, this is the nerd part of me, chat, so hang in there with me. But I enjoyed watching Will Riley at the end of the season. I thought he was pretty interesting. I also feel like the sharpshooter that is, I would say Trey Johnson is fun too. Like, oh, and probably my favorite player to watch on the crew, if he's good this year, Alex Sarr. Like, I have had stocks in Alex Sarr FC for a minute. So, like, if he has a breakout season, I would really want to tap in. So those are the reasons why they will be S tier. But I settle for A tier. And the reason why I settle at the end after a lot of overall, I would say, deliberation is because of the injuries. Like, if they're not consistently healthy, that does lower how much you want to watch DC hoop. But I like their team.
Definitely. Yeah, I think they're the top of A tier, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's
yeah.
a great baseline team for A tier.
Yes, which I am not going to call primetime hoops because you want to watch primetime hoops. So,
Sure.
cool. All right. That was a good one there. Next team. Oh man, it's going to be funny. Okay. Let's go to the Boston Celtics.
Mm.
Now,
You know, I think we did a good job with this setup.
okay.
As far as baseline, you can go ahead and start this one. I started all of them so far.
Got
So
you.
where do you got Boston?
Yeah, Adam Silver, take my money. All right. I am very invested in Boston this year for a multitude of reasons. The notion that Derek White is a better basketball player than Jaylen Brown. I feel like that is still going on. People are still saying it. Big shout out to my dog Luke. Luke is absolutely there. And what I'm seeing a lot of people say now is like the way Derek White played is an outlier playoff performance, and it shouldn't impact much. So for me, at least, what I want to see is Derek White going to really go back to back with a underperformance offensively in this Boston offense? I want to see that. I want to see, like, okay, with Jaylen Brown gone, and we're theoretically giving the ball more to Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, or whatever it is. Like, I want to see how impactful Derek White is. So my Derek White, I don't think it's hate. I'm just interested in what it looks like. I want to see that. Also, number one option Tatum, want to see that. Definitely want to see that because this is very much the Jason Tatum era. He is a player that I have felt has been the most overrated but also underrated player at the same time in the league because no one can ever put him in a fair range. It's either he's a top 5 player or he's barely top 10. And like there's no really, so I want to see if he's able to turn it up after his major injury. And just like I like the shooting, like any game with Boston can be fun just off of the shooting, I think, variance. You have the, I would say, star power. And Paul George, when he's out of the regular season, that shit is fun to watch. I will say that. So I do like all of those things. So for me, I have Boston at the top.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh,
So
wait. And I'm sorry. I'm also Bailey Shireman FC. I love watching Bailey Shireman in the regular season. So yeah, I got Boston high tier for me. I do.
okay. So I was gonna say, like, I think we started off well as far as like setting a baseline for each tier. I think the Kings are a terrific F. I think the Bucks do make sense in D. Magic are a perfect C team. Wizards are a perfect A team. And I was saying, oh, this is a perfect team. And this is a perfect B team for me. Like,
Okay.
So all the reasons you said, I think, are reasons to watch the Celtics for sure. My notes are as follows. Are we going to be more than the threes? Referring to, obviously, Boston's shooting habits. And I think they really leaned into the roster construction this year into more creation for threes, which is a fine
Yeah.
recipe. And we should have mentioned this at the top, like where we have these teams ranked watchability does not at all correlate with how they will finish in the regular season as like
100%.
competitiveness, right?
100%. Yeah.
So Boston's going to be a terrific basketball team. So me putting them in B tier is not insinuating they are going to be losers. They're going to be a good basketball team. For me, League Pass activated. It's like, yes, I'm going to tune in more often than not. I'm going to be okay with missing some games because I just don't think there's enough for like me to retain. And this is going to go back to like some of the guard bias, I guess, that I have. Derek
Yeah.
White's a terrific player. He's not a super exciting player. I think that's a pretty like lukewarm take to have.
Okay.
Paul George, still a good basketball player. I think he's going to miss plenty of time to like help balance out. Again, I think they're going to be thinking, playoffs and just competitive viability. Tatum, same thing. Like, I just feel like you should comfortably build in 20 missed games. So
Okay.
that leaves Boston, who I did write down and do believe they have very sneaky good depth between a Hugo Gonzalez, a Baylor Shireman, Sam Hauser. I've seen go against my team and go off. The addition of Mitch Robinson. So like, there's plenty of players here to still make them good. Does that make them more watchable? I don't know. I think the dark horse to make them more entertaining per se is a Peyton Pritchard type who I do think is going to be due for pretty wild scoring outputs this season. But like, I can't put them in S because I don't have a lot of agenda, to push really for. I can push against them, but I think it feels like beating on a dead horse because of all the Paul George, Jaylen Brown talking points there have been already. They've kind of taken the fun out of it a little bit. And I don't know, there's just a lot of players that just have a lot to prove, but I don't have a baseline for them. You know what I mean? They're not starting high. The only other thing I put is like young gems or Giannis bait. Obviously, it's like if they stink, then it's just they're going to be made fun of because they didn't trade for Giannis. You know what I mean? If they're good young players, which I think most of them are, then it's like, cool, they're going to be fun role players. But none of them have great scorer written on them out of like the few that we just mentioned. It's going to be Pritchard. It's going to be Tatum, obviously. And then can Paul George and D White, stay good. That's it. I feel like that makes a very good B team, like the epitome of a B watch for me this year.
Okay. And I'll tell you what took me to S. So everything you said is what had me hovering around A or B. What took it to S is, again, 3 points. Because I can either watch a blazing offensive stretch or their ass and the game becomes close and who's going to shit all over themselves. And also, like, how competitive the entire Eastern Conference is and knowing the volatility of Boston at times and then seeing Jason Tatum be in that unquestioned, like, you are the number one player role, like how he closes out games for better or for worse, I'm intrigued. So that's why, like, that double-edged sword. And I feel like Paul George going down only increases how I'm looking at Derek White and Peyton Pritchard to be who people say they are, which I want to see. So all that stuff increases my reasoning for wanting to watch them. That's what landed me at S tier because of that. But I can definitely understand why you say B tier for sure.
So, I mean, is this a situation we pull it up? Otherwise, where I feel like we split down the middle and just put them A.
I think going down the middle is fair. I'm not mad at you for saying that. Yeah, so like, I'm fine with putting Boston A tier. Yeah. Because I will be watching Boston. So I don't hate that.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'll be watching Boston. So, I mean, maybe off of just sheer volume, they will be there. But that's also because of, my team and like other teams I'm going to be watching for them, So,
okay. Word. Next team that I think people definitely don't know how to rank, the Miami Heat. Where do we put the Miami Heat in terms of watchability next season?
They were the top of my A tier. I think because it's going to be a couple of things. Obviously, the Giannis edition is everything. This is,
it is
Pat Riley's last big swing. This is all the chips pushed in. They finally did something over the years that we've talked about. And I mean, this is Giannis's in a lot of ways, I think his last best chance. And I don't mean just this season, but you
Right.
know, you've got like a 3-year window with this squad. The East is open. I don't know that it's wide open for this team, but it's open. So if you're going to make a run, now's the time. And I think it's crazy to say because this guy is obviously an all-time great, immortalized Hall of Famer, you name it.
Yeah.
But there is a bit of Spo reputation on the line. I
Oh, I
think it's
like
fair to
this out of
say.
you. Okay, Derek. Okay. I'm listening.
Like he has had this fantastic defense year in, year out, made a lot work with possibly a lot less. But obviously, the buck stops pretty quick come playoff time. And a lot of it is justified and understandable. But you don't get that anymore. You have a 1A player. You have a bona fide superstar who
Yeah, now
also
we
fits your
pod.
scheme.
Mm-hmm.
The excuses leave. And you also are now further on the chopping block as far as Giannis is the type of player that can get what he wants. I know it will be said before D Wade, LeBron existed, Spo, survived that. That's all completely true. But this is a team that I think ownership also sees as like we're kind of hitting a turning point. Pat Riley will retire, I think, during Giannis's tenure. Spo has also been sneaky in the league for forever. He just, looks really well. There could be a changing of the guard during this tenure if it does not pan out. So I think I'm going to be watching this Heat team far more closely because of that. On top of, Giannis is just a guaranteed entertainment boost, right? So we're just going to be watching. So they check the box of star power. They check, contention box, but also some propaganda and agenda. So I think this is a certified good A team.
Ironically, I had this team B tier. And like the reason why I
Mm,
had them B tier is because Miami Heat basketball at times can really be in the mud. And
for
I looked
sure.
at the guard play, like it's gonna be a lot of like defensive ace stuff. I think what convinces me to put them A tier now is the point about Eric Spoelstra, because in the back of my head, I'm like, we pretty much regard him as the best coach in the league. And to make this team make sense, because obviously there are a lot of questions about the shooting and the guard play, Eric Spoelstra is going to have to be creative to make that offense like really hum and be a like elite offense. We know defensively they're going to be really good, but like making it fit on the court is very much a, I would say, Spoelstra thing, like how to maximize Bam and Giannis on the floor together. That is a Spo thing. So that actually does intrigue me to want to watch them more in the season. Trying to think of what else. Outside of that, I mean, you do have the Andrew Wiggins that when we've seen him on like really good teams, he was able to play really, really good for, I would say, Golden State. And now he's now on a team that like does have a chance to compete out east, and he is their X Factor player. And I'll say this, I love watching Davion Mitchell play. I like watching him play. I do. So I don't hate A tier. Honestly, Derek, you convinced me. We could put the Heat in A tier. I'm cool with that.
Cool.
Yeah. I had them at like the top of B, so I'm not too mad at that. All right. Now, this takes us to another Eastern Conference team that I think no one knows how to rank, that I might be too high on to watch.
Mm.
Just off of sheer, I don't know what's gonna happen. Indiana Pacers. Where
Mm.
do we put the 2026 Indiana Pacers? Now, I want to lead with this real quick, Derek. What I feel is the last time we saw the Pacers, they were must-watch basketball in the playoffs. It was some of the best basketball we've seen in probably the last, I would say, 10 years. They were one of the worst teams easily in basketball last year, and a lot of that was obviously by design. But now they have their franchise player back in Tyrese Halliburton. I really want to see how Tyrese looks. Also, we've seen it where like he would struggle for half the season, whatever. But once January hit, he was an all NBA player for sure in terms of how he played. You know what I'm saying? And if that magic can find itself is very intriguing. Also, the Zubac fit. Like, how do they play with like a real big man who can block shots, dunk the ball, can't really shoot, but obviously does all of like the other things. And then like how Pascal fits in with Zubac directly, like how their team looks. And if they're younger players, like I would say a Quentin Jackson, who no one at all knows, but he did play last year and actually gave my team fits. We lost the game to the Pacers early in the season because of him. So just how these players fit and like how good or bad the Pacers will be in the competitive East has me high on the Pacers. I went A tier with the Pacers.
Yeah, I mean, I think you made all the great points. I think what I put down is Zubac's defensive anchor or the offense's anchor.
I like it.
So, can he, transform this team defensively, which obviously was woeful last year with Hallie, I think was, more middle of the pack, slightly weaker, but their pace of play, made up for a lot of it. So is Zoo going to be able to fix some of that, or is he going to just slow the pace down? And then, you're stuck in the worst kind of place. And it's like, basketball purgatory where you're like pretty good at stuff, but you're pretty good on both, not elite at one. I'm leaning towards they're going to make it work. I trust the front office. I trust Coach Carlisle in making that decision. I think, the trade looks bad because of the way the pick fell this
Yeah.
year. But I think it was a pretty understandable investment with a player in Zoo who was, a year and a half or two removed from elite center play. So, I mean, this is a really good roster. So I think on its paper, on paper, I agree. It would be like an A tier. I think the return of Halliburton is why I have them in S. And
I damn near put him
I
S.
guess,
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm pretty strong S. And reason, this is where the bias creeps in. Hallie is the kind of guard that I love to watch, but he also is, and prior to the Achilles tear, excuse me, he was my favorite player to watch in the league.
Okay.
His playmaking, his style and pace, I think are just absolutely fun to watch. Unselfish, but super quick decision making is probably my favorite trait in a basketball player. And he also happens to be a very good one. So it's like, him returning, obviously we're hoping for the best. I imagine a bit of a slow start, but that's what's going to keep me in is, okay, Hallie's back. How is he going to play? How are the Pacers going to adjust? And I did write down, like, are we serious? Because there was a lot of good roster players that were healthy last year and the Pacers stunk. We can chalk it up to tanking for sure, but there was definitely like a raised eyebrow of like, okay, why are they this bad this quick? Because there's still some good players here. Like Nemhart's still here. Siakam, like you said, not bad NBA players, very crucial to when the Pacers were good. So it's like, okay, is Hallie really the only reason they stink? And missing him, I mean. So for that, I think they're an S tier. I think they're going to be fun to watch. They were S tier when they were healthy and together. I think adding Zoo is just another dynamic. So I'm pretty steadfast on S tier personally.
So like it's funny because I initially started out having them S tier, but then like I thought about the other players and I'm like, okay, if this doesn't go the way that they want it to go and they're actually worse than we thought and the matches they had in terms of 2 years ago is gone and they're just like a mid team, would I still like enjoy them the same way? And I wasn't sure of that, but to be honest, like I think the Tyrese Halliburton story alone can elevate them in the S tier because we just want to see like what that does for the league, right?
Yeah.
Because if Tyrese really is back, like I thought about this, right? Something I don't think a lot of people, and please, if you're in chat, let me know if you think about this. When you look at the Eastern Conference, the two best teams at closing basketball games on paper to me are the Knicks and the Pacers. Just in terms of like
take.
how they close things out. And even though I don't know how good the Pacers are going to be, if Tyrese is who he is, and Pascal also hasn't lost much, they're going to be a good team to close out basketball, at least in the half court, because that's what they were. You know what I'm saying? Like, not now, obviously, having Zubac over Miles changes a lot of how that looks per se, but I could also argue if Zubac is the same Zubac that was almost all NBA 2 seasons ago, That's a wild team now.
Yeah, exactly. I think that roster depth is almost improved compared to what they were 2 years ago. And that's the thing. I just think it revitalizes having Hallie, just having that offensive engine back, revitalizes a lot of these guys. You know, Nemhard gets to play more of the combo guard that he once was, not so much on the ball, which I think, you know, is good for growth, but I don't think it's like his strongest suit. Uh, yeah, I think it's just gonna. I'm obviously higher. I'm picking them to return more to form, but I do think even if it's, you know, definitely not what it once was, I think there's still a fun watch at worst, and there's enough like agenda and intrigue to tune in. So they might be the bottom of S tier, but I think S tier is appropriate for where they're at.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 I like that conversation on the Pacers. In chat, Empress said Zubac needs to get a false start as soon as they grab a rebound to make sure they push pace. Yeah, like just how they play around with that, and also like a big body screen for Tyrese Halliburton. What that can open up, I'm very intrigued in for sure.
Definitely.
So yeah. Moving on to the next team that is probably the most confusing team on this list, the Portland Trailblazers, who have acquired Ja Morant, and they have Ja, Denny, and Dame starting day one. How do we feel? Oh, I'm sorry, and Andrew Holiday, who is still on this team as well. How do we feel about the Portland Trailblazers, Derek?
Yeah, I mean the most interesting backcourt in recent NBA history, as far as I'm concerned. Like you said, Ja, Dame, Drew, and Scoot, I think are just four wild names to have together. Uh, you know, a tough situation, man. It's again West Coast late games, those 10 or like you said 11 p.m. starts on occasion is rough. And there's a couple of players that I'm just not so certain of at like how they're going to gel with the rest of the squad. I mean, the fact that like they got rid of Grant, who I think was not a fun watch for me personally whenever I did tune in, and you got a very intriguing player in Ja Morant back. But how he fits and who actually all plays and is ready to go, very confusing. They got rid of a very good coach and underpaid the next one. So I'm a little like concerned about that. I think had Tiago still been here, I'd be more intrigued. But I got them in C tier, man. I think this is a fun team. This is a young team. Could be very dynamic, but I don't know what's going to be a given. I think you add back Dame and Ja, who are two obviously like, you know, dominant ball handlers, which takes the ball away from Denny, which I think was kind of the bright spot of his game. So, yeah, like that might not be great long term. And then another player that is a highlight reel, but might be an odd man out in quite a few lineups is Shaden Sharp.
Right.
You know, what is his development like? Where does he go? Is he long for this team to begin with? And then obviously like Scoot Henderson, who this past season I was really buying stock in. I'm like, okay, like Chauncey's gone. Like we're finally going to get some seriousness with Scoot's development. I think at the end of the season, he showed some real flashes. And then they go ahead and bring Dame and Ja back into the mix on top of Drew Holiday, who was already going to take some, you know, ball handling duties. So I have no idea what they're doing with Scoot. So that goes against some of my agenda and my prop. I don't really see a case for hire, truth be told. I think this is a fun team when they're on, but am I going to want to stay up late to watch some very disorganized hoops, I imagine, early on?
All right. Well, time to tell you what I think about this, man. I absolutely hate the idea of watching Ja Morant and Damian Lillard on defense with Denny at the three. Because even though Denny used to play defense in DC and whatnot, I do feel like the offensive load has hurt his contributions on that end. So having all three of them out there on the floor, like you're asking Drew Holiday to do a lot. Like he needs to be on all defense if this defense is anywhere near top 10 or like even top 8 or whatever. Like that would be insane for Drew Holiday, right? Me personally, I do understand the concept of, but because of that, it's intriguing to watch because what are they doing as a basketball team? But that appeal only lasts so long. Like,
Right.
if they start losing games and it just doesn't look good, you're not gonna watch. You're gonna be like, oh, I have my answer. Like, that's a team that people might want to watch for the first 10 games of the season, 15 games of the season. But then once they are what they are, especially if it's worse, you probably aren't gonna care as much. I'm gonna be honest. Me and Derek are in perfect alignment with this. I also had them C tier, and I think it's harder for me to argue. Now, I do think the way that you could argue if they're better than C tier is if Ja Morant is just wow, he's actually really good off ball. He can like cut, like wow, this is the most efficient career year that Ja's had. Wow, he's shooting threes at a 35% clip. Wow, like these. Wow, help side Ja Morant. He's actually
Oh God.
using athleticism. Yeah, right. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
the ceiling of that would have to be that. And even then, it's probably a low B tier. So I'm with you. I want to put the Portland Trail Blazers also at C tier. I think what is funny though is the fact that the head coach is in a 360 deal and is quite literally coaching for his job. That will be fun to watch because that is going to for sure impact a lot of these games.
Yeah, the stress factor's got to be insane. You know, I'm sorry, Trailblazers fans, that some broke billionaire took over your team and doesn't want to give you T-shirts on top of pay their coaching staff. Very unfortunate. Do you have Blazers in B? I'm looking at. Should they be with the Magic?
Sorry. Yeah.
I was gonna say people go get the
Look,
wrong idea. But we do need to find a B tier team too. Since that's our only spot left.
We do. I'm curious which one of these teams we'll go to. I'll go to another team that is interesting. The Utah Jazz. Completely different team. In my opinion, and this is actually related, I do look at them as a B tier team because I'm interested in Lauri Markkanen hoops on a better team. He's been in hell for the past, I would say, 3 seasons. Darren Peterson moved me a lot in Summer League, but obviously that will be Summer League. We got to see how that goes. Ace Bailey, I like the growth. He's gotten taller, and I think he is really interesting. And a player that no one's going to talk about, but again, as a trench hoop watcher for me, Bryce Sensabaugh dropping 40 is something
never mind.
I got to lock in for. I love Bryce Sensabaugh, and I think on this team as their 6th man, it can make for some really fun nights of basketball. Also, the continued growth and development of, I would say, Keontae George as well. Like, I think the Jazz are just a good team. And Jaren Jackson being in a position where there's size next to him a little bit and he can get his, like, 15, 60 points. But now it's like his defense is, like, more valued on, like, a younger team like this is interesting. Granted, I forget who plays the 5 now in there because they got rid of Walker Kessler. So is it Lauri at the 5? Or like, did I miss something?
I think it would have to be Triple J, but I am checking the depth chart because I haven't. My first point was going to be really wish I got to see this team with Walker. ESPN still got them with Nurkic starting at the 5.
It probably is Nurkic.
That's gross. That hurts a little bit. But they did sign Jackson Hayes, so there's that. Who could I think fits the scheme well. Definitely alleviates what Nurkic, may not be the strongest at. But yeah, I mean, I think so. For me, Triple J, can you turn the corner? Was my first note. Well, actually, it was my second note because I think there's one more person that has a more interesting season in front of them. But I mean, I agree with everything you said as far as Peterson. I think he's ready for the arrival. I think he'll be entertaining at the bare minimum. Ace Bailey, of course, another year under his belt. Very curious to see how he fits in these lineups with Lauri and Triple J. Like, there's a lot of size on this team, and even without Walker. So, like, that flexibility is going to be interesting. Totally agree about Keontae. Really good offensive player. How viable can you be when the going gets tough and you need to play real defense? I don't know, because statistically one of the worst defenders in the entire association. But the most interesting thing for me this season for the Utah Jazz, Coach Hardy, it's your turn.
I was going to say that. I'll go say that too,
Yeah.
Derek. Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Emperor put it in the chat immediately. Like, the reins are now taken off. They're now, we don't have Danny Ainge telling us, okay, let's lose now, coming up from the top. We have expectations to win basketball games again. Congratulations. I'm glad we made it to this
Very
to this
happy for
part.
him.
Yes. You know, like it's exciting because he has this fantastic reputation. I think he has done well in the spots where he's allowed to, coach and develop. But this is more pressure than ever. And we've talked about it several times, like the Eastern Conference is really the better conference right now. The West is still a bloodbath, and it's still going to be a difficult night to night basis. But the door is open for a third seed. You know, I don't know if Utah is that, but
Hmm.
you've got your OKC, you've got your San Antonio. Pretty much everyone's going to bank on them being 1 and 2 this year, rightfully so. Everything else after that, I think, is open. Like I think any team could claim that, as
Okay.
far as I'm concerned. So like I'm not picking the Jazz to be third, but the avenue to be serious from start to finish, and a young team that is, I think, hungry to play real basketball. I think that's it. I think that's what makes them curious. For me, that put them in B tier. Now they were lower because again the West Coast thing. There's some times where this is like a dry team to watch. I'm not a big Ace Bailey guy. I think that's pretty documented. But a lot of talent on this roster, man. A lot of talent. I do think Artie's a good coach. I think that has to get him into B tier.
Yeah. I will say this. This team was dangerously close for me to being a C-tier team, but again, the idea of Will Hardy being activated like a Russian
Yeah.
agent, where like they say a code word, I can win now. Oh, and I do feel like he was like severely, like you saw moments from Utah, even when they were bad. Like, oh, this team is like there was always a 2 or 3 week stretch where it's like, damn, Utah's the hottest team in basketball, and then
Right.
it's right to shit. And like some of that is by design, some of that is also the league, I would say, kind of catching on. But I think this is the first year where they have like somewhat expectations, and also like the draft odds changing and whatnot. Like they have incentive to win this year, and I think because of
Right.
that, we could see a lot of things change. Shoot, I would damn near say to you, Derek, the stat that I think Laurie Marketing was like one of the most efficient players in basketball on the least amount of touches. Maybe the
Yeah.
the reason why he wasn't getting many touches because they were trying to lose. Like, imagine if like it's supercharged more. Like, oh no, he's a good player. He's gonna touch the ball more, and like how much better that might make the team. Like, there's a lot of questions I have with that. So, yeah, I think this is the definition of a B tier team for me.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes, we have a B tier team. Good. I also love this exact tier list because for some reason they are the biggest logo on the entire list.
Yeah,
So like,
enormous.
yeah, clearly whoever made this is a fan of the Jazz.
Mhm.
All right, moving on to a team that I feel like is going to be very funny, the Houston Rockets. Where do we put the 2026 Houston Rockets, man?
For some reason, they commonly came up as like A tier or S tier in viewership. Like statistically, they're a top 10 watch team. We went over the top 10 list the other day. I think they were sixth overall. Um, Now, like I do get the drama part, which what did I even write down for this team? Because yeah. So the first thing I wrote down is how much will Udoka piss me off? Because this is where I'm going to get to for my ranking. This offense was this might sound crazy, was right
Mhm.
there with not Utah, excuse me, right there with Orlando for absolutely frustrating the hell out of me.
Oh yeah,
Um,
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
like biblical levels of mud hoops were on my screen, and that included the like Kevin Durant, who is one of the best offensive players to ever pick up a basketball. So the fact that that happened, I like was driving me absolutely insane routinely. And to the point, so like Fred, obviously Van Vliet's coming back, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
Reed
yeah,
Shepard development, cool. Amon, we always talk about, let a guard get to play the guard position, and allow them to make mistakes. The next year after, they're going to be better for it. I do believe that's going to happen for Amin Thompson. All that said, man, Udoka really has to show me that he gives a damn about like organized offense, because even with that there's just simply no way it cures all that ails them.
Right.
I don't like Şengün. He's not a fun watch, and I don't particularly think he's a great player, let alone fitting the scheme. Jabari Smith is a guy that I think is in an unfortunate situation because there's just a better version of him that plays the same position. Tari Eason became one of the worst shooters I've ever seen in my life for some reason all of last year. Man, this is a C tier watch. I don't understand what the Houston market sees. I don't care for the drama, so maybe that's a thing. Like, I don't like KD having group chats with groupies and fans talking bad about his team. That doesn't make me more motivated to watch your basketball. So that might be a factor. But man, they got to show me. they really got to show me they care about offense.
I'm gonna be honest. This was damn near a D tier team for me. I don't like watching the Rockets play basketball. I think Operation Goon is one of the most frustrating players in the sport for me at times. And I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know Kevin Durant is on this team. If you watched them last year, the Rockets would just be okay with him sitting in the corner waiting. Like, I'm gonna just sit here. I'm only gonna take 15 shots a game. And, like, we're going to let Amin Thompson and Şengün figure it out. And it was nasty basketball. Now, granted, they had some moments where, like, it was better to watch. I'll put them at C tier because Fred VanVleet is back. And I do think there's some interesting things that he can do to make them more interesting, more watchable. I'm going to be honest. The drama shit for me doesn't really move me because while the team shit is there, while, like, if they have a bad start, if he'll get traded, like, that stuff is cool on Twitter, but when you're sitting down watching the game, you forget about that shit really quickly. Like, I'm sorry. Seeing Şengün take the ball, hold it in the post, struggle to go up, cry over every call, you forget so quickly about drama. So for me, I go C tier, personally.
Yeah, I think they're competitive enough and will, be able to make a fight out of most games with anybody. That's what keeps them at a D tier for me. But yeah, I agree with everything. It's just, it's like, man, I hope Fred is the savior of this team. So, I can enjoy actually watching them because we watch a good bit of them, honestly.
Yeah, fair. Well, speaking of savior, I think this is a great transition. Let's go to the white savior in Dallas's team, man. The Dallas Mavericks, who, no, that's funny. Yeah, but the Dallas Mavericks, and by the way, shameless plug, I just did a podcast episode with the Mavs Outsiders podcast. Go tap into the Gifted Who's podcast live on all platforms and in the live tab for this channel. I am high on Dallas. And I'm high from the perspective that Kyrie Irving is one of the most watchable players in the sport. I love watching Kyrie hoop no matter what. And ironically enough, even though Dallas was bad last year, Cooper Flat had me watching Dallas. The shit that he was doing from the middle of the season to the end, where, like, he was just one of the best players in the league at a point. Like, it was super fun basketball to watch. And I actually really, like, I am absurdly high on watching Najee Marshall play basketball. I think Derek might be too because we both had multiple phone conversations over these years trying to get him on our teams. I remember that, talk. So, honestly, for Dallas, I put them in prime time. And I know they're not going to be like a great team to watch necessarily, but I think they are a team that is going to be competitive. I think they're going to be in, I would say, the play-in run. And I just think the prospect of Cooper Flag and Kyrie hoops, especially when the game gets close, I think will be super fun to watch. I think Kyrie is hard carrying a good part of this, but the thing that I'm very interested in is, okay, what if Cooper Flag is like truly like a real generational player? And his sophomore season, it's like, no, this guy is a actual, like, he is a top 15 player. That would be super fun to see. So I have them in prime time for me.
I had them at the top of B tier for all the reasons you said. And maybe I kind of overlooked them because Flag joined by Kyrie. is an easy watch. I think that's great. Flag's definitely an enjoyable watch. Kyrie's obviously still a fantastic watch, even post injury. And there's definitely some talking points for sure. New head coach, of course, no more J Kidd. So
Mm-hmm.
very interesting to see what a college coach does in the NBA, because that transition is usually not super easy when you have so much control, so much influence over young players. You're going to the league where that is gone. That is gone. Everyone is their own individual
Right.
person, and getting buy-in is far from easy. So very curious to see how it goes for Coach May. And this roster is still good. Like, I get they stunk
Yeah.
and we kind of know why, but there is depth kind of everywhere. Shout out to the former Piston Marcus Sasser. I think that's a great addition. I think
I
he's a
like him a lot.
very, very good, especially for a coach like May, who, wants just effort from his second unit guards. I think he's definitely going to get that. I think the fact that you got a former number one pick on this roster for very little in a trade, Reece has joined this squad.
For nothing.
He could be, yeah, for next to nothing. I mean, that's, obviously he's coming out of one of the weakest draft classes of like our lifetime.
I mean, I
But
think he sucks, but like I don't hate going for it at all.
yeah,
I would
exactly.
go for
I
I'll go for
mean,
it too. Yeah.
I'm not there yet that he sucks. I think he was in kind of a rough spot. He might suck. That might be the case, but I think it's a great flyer to take. And then you got depth everywhere else. I love Daniel Gafford. You already mentioned Najee Marshall. Amazing. Shout out to his payday. Well deserved. I think this is a good team, man. I think this is a good team, and I don't know that Flag's ready to carry the mantle yet. I think that's asking a lot out of a second year player.
Yeah.
But I had them top of B tier. I think he convinced me. I think this is primetime hoops.
Oh, and the part that I left out that like made them A tier as well for me is like out of all of the crowds in the NBA, Dallas got to be top. Like in a close
It's a
game,
good crowd.
that
Yeah.
Dallas crowd be jumping. So
It's
like
good.
if they're
Yeah.
good, it'd be fun to watch. So yeah, I love the prospect of what Dallas could be this year, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for Lively. I need to tune into the pod because I'm curious what like the updates are for him. I know it hasn't been going well
We
for
did
his
talk about
injuries
live on the
because
pod. It's a whole lot going on there, sadly. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
But yeah, even still, like having Gafford right there is perfect. So shout out to the Mavs, man. Should be a good
Yeah.
team.
Before we move on, there's a question in chat from Kuroch Cole. He asked, do you guys think it's possible for Cooper Flag to have a better than Wemby level third year? Ooh, so basically, can Cooper have a Wemby level third year? I think that bar you're putting is kind of high because that's a unanimous DPOI.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, like that's the problem with centers, right? And then Wemby obviously like kind of fitting that bill.
Oh, okay.
That like that defensive impact is going to be so difficult. I think.
Oh, wait. He's not talking about this upcoming season. He means after this year, the next year, could he then be
Right.
that?
No, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Like there is a world where Flag could have a Wemby like value for the
Okay.
Mavs. I mean, his offensive development was further along than I thought. Now, part of that is he was given the keys very quickly. He was allowed to
Right.
run point, which maybe I should have expected from J Kidd. He did the same thing with Giannis. He's done that many times before. Basically, just put the ball in your best player's hands. And Kyrie wasn't available. So, that I think accelerated things. So I don't know how real some of Flag's offense is coming into the second year,
That's
but
fair.
if he could be like a very viable offensive player on top of all the defensive tools I think he already has, we are talking about like a elite two-way player very quickly. So
Yes,
year
yeah.
3, I mean, look, this is gonna sound probably a little blasphemous. There is absolutely a world where Flag's flirting with Kawhi levels of impact. Now, this isn't peak Kawhi. I'm just saying Kawhi like
Wow.
very early San Antonio days. I think that's in the cards.
Okay.
So if that's the case, then I think that's close to Wemby level. Maybe not quite like exactly what he's been able to do, but that's possible. I think Flag has all the ability to do that.
I wouldn't say Wemby level. What I would say is Flag could be like Jason Tatum. And like I don't mean I don't mean year three Tatum. I mean, it's gonna sound crazy when I say this. I don't mean year three Tatum. I mean the year they went to the finals Tatum. Like he
I
could
mean,
be
I just
that
called
in
him
year three.
Kawhi, so that's not crazy.
Well, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think with Cooper Flag, to me, the tools are absolutely there, but it's about putting it together because I don't think last year he was actually great on defense. I think he had a lot of parts where he just was kind of gassed and not really getting the spots right. Granted, they asked a lot of him offensively, but
Right.
that's why I think having Kyrie there is so big for him because now you have another guy that can actually run the offense and he can just be more of a play finisher, which means defensively he should have a much higher upside and motor. And year three of that, he could really put things there. So yeah, I like that for Dallas. Honestly, good question, Kurojo.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to another team in the NBA. This team, a lot of people are talking about. A lot of people are interested on how this will work. The Philadelphia
Oh,
76ers, man. Derek, where you at, man? Philadelphia, stand up. I'm gonna let you have the floor first.
I mean, I appreciate it. This will be pretty quick. This is now or never. All eyes on me. Propaganda season or just win, baby, are my notes. So, like, look, this is an easy S tier. I don't think there's like much discussion on that front. I think what I will say, like, by the way, like LeBron was still the most watched NBA player last season. So, like, literally all eyes will be on the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah,
Uh, but so what I mean by propaganda season versus just win, which I was quoting Al Davis for any football fans out there, like propaganda is usually good when your team is really, really good, but not necessarily you need to win or nothing matters. When you're in
right,
that situation, win and not, or nothing matters, it's very unfortunate for you because your regular seasons don't count for much and no one really cares. And then you get judged very harshly come playoff time.
right.
We saw it with the OKC Thunder this past season. So there's, that factor at play. The Sixers are in that boat. So for a player that, I've got a lot of propaganda for and I will still be pushing, like Tyrese Maxey, going from an all NBA season, near scoring title levels of production is probably going to drop in points per game. Those, PRA
Yeah,
numbers are probably going to come down. And it hopefully will be for the best because of these additions. So the propaganda might suffer. I might not be able to put him in combos that I think he deserves to be in. But if you win, then that's the best combo starter ever.
of
So
course.
that's kind of where we're at. It really is now or never. Obviously for all, the usual suspects, Joel Embiid, we know exactly what it is. JB's got a chip on his shoulder. LeBron wants another title, et cetera, et cetera. So there is simply there's no team with more narratives coming into this season than the Philadelphia 76ers. So there's your tune in. But there will be just good hoops anyway. So S tier, I had them second. I mean, no, that's a lie. I had them first. You could argue, I think, like one other team over them as far as like watchability, but easy S tier.
Yeah, this is something that I feel like is damn near unanimous for S tier because regardless if you think they're going to be good or not, the spectacle of LeBron James playing what could be his last year, even though I don't think it is, with a healthier Joel Embiid, we hope,
Yeah.
because he goes into this offseason better than he did the last offseason, which is really all you can ask for. They obviously make the blockbuster Jaylen Brown trade, and there's people who think he's like the seventh best player on a team. So like how that
Mm.
actually fits on a good team with talent, plus like him wanting a contract extension, also the continued growth of I would say their other franchise player Tyrese Maxey, who has always had to play many different roles. So like in a way, you could argue the way Tyrese Maxey's career has gone, he was built for like a team like this because he understands exactly when to play off ball, do this and do that. So how that fits is going to be super duper interesting. And again, like I think what also people don't think about is how you watch a team every game, and also I'll say throughout a game. The staggers for this team are going to be fun. Like there's never going to be a lineup where it's like, oh, I really don't want to see how the lineup works. Like, there's so much creativity they can have with this roster or cannot have. And I think the prospect of that is very, very intriguing for me. Plus, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this forever. The fact that this team has VJ Edgecombe on it and people like aren't even talking, like, most of these graphics have LeBron, Tyrese, Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, and like, I get it, rightfully so. But the shit VJ was doing last year, like, I was watching so much of Philly because of VJ Edgecombe, especially after Tyrese went down. Like, he was playing some crazy basketball. So I can't wait to see exactly what it's like. I like the comment in the chat from I was Tormentor. It's like watching a Olympic team. You have many all-star, like yeah. I don't think that's insane to say. So I'm high just on like at least watching them. I think they are number one on this list.
Yeah, I mean, this really is the famous bowler whose name eludes me right now. Love it or hate it, you watched, and that's going to be the Sixers this year.
Yeah.
If you despise this team or despise players, you're going to tune in. If you love the, put like really good hoops and narratives, you're going to watch too. So, yeah, I mean, this is crazy. This was not a top 10 most watched team last year. This probably is going to be certified number one this year. So I'm excited, especially
and also,
as a Philly fan.
The other aspect that went into it, because again, I thought long and hard about a lot of these teams. Philadelphia's the only team where you can argue there's 4 revenge games from players featured. I would say this team versus Denver. The obvious Jokic, like that's there. Obviously, Jaylen Brown versus Boston, and then obviously LeBron going back to the Lakers. Like, these are going to be games you really, really want to see. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here for that, man. Philly number one for me.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yeah.
And so I called. Who did I call? I called Portland the most confusing team. This team definitely has an argument with Portland to be the most confusing team. Where are we putting the 2026 New Orleans Pelicans?
That's not who I thought. When I'm making this list, I was going through. I was like, all right, I went top to bottom. I had my S's, then A's, and worked my way down.
Okay, word.
And I was like, okay, this is pretty easy. Might have to do some moving. And I skipped this tier entirely to like just, I'm like, okay, we got some stinkers. And I'm like, wait a minute. I have no one in D tier right now. And I was like, the D tier might just be the Pelicans. Now, there's one other team that's in there with them. But this is my note. I'm sure you'll love it. Get rid of Zion and breathe life into this team. Trade watch for my prop players. Are they going to know what defense is? Those are my like notes and questions for this team. Look, you know me. I've loved this roster and had so much hope for so many players for so long, and they've just routinely disappointed me.
Yeah.
And I've had enough. Like, I'm no longer interested in. That's not true. I was gonna say I'm not like. Zion is still and can be a fun watch. Unfortunately, I've just been let down too many times. And I don't think they have a good infrastructure enough around him. I think Trey Murphy and, to a lesser extent, Herb Jones are still really, really good players that deserve to play in competitive basketball. And I don't think the Pelicans can supply that. I think there's enough intrigue here that you'll still want to tune in slightly, but they will stink to high heaven so often they simply can't be any better than D tier.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. And it's probably the one time in the stream I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put the camera on me, man. All right. Chad, I have been one of the biggest Pelicans defenders for the past 3 seasons. All I know is pain. All I know is suffering. All I know is misery. The New Orleans Pelicans are one of the worst ran teams in basketball. And as someone who has been a Zion truther, I watched every Duke game of Zion in college. I thought he was going to be generational, all of that. There's no other way to say Zion's career has been a disappointment. And when I tell you I'm the biggest Zion fan, I will never forget. And it's the one thing that still saves his stock in my brain. The shit that Zion was doing in that playing game versus the Lakers, and the fact that he could not finish that game. I don't care what nobody say. If you finish that game, I think the Pelicans make the playoffs because he was giving LeBron and AD fits. He was killing. I have not reached that same level of enjoyment watching Zion, and I have not reached that same level watching the Pelicans as a whole. I think when you look at this team, this is a team that is unsure of themselves. Trading up to get Derek Queen is one thing, which I said you might not like that because this next draft is supposed to be a very good draft. Obviously, I do want to watch what that pick turned into and how that player plays because then we can double down on that. But my problem is decisiveness. And I'm a Warriors fan, so trust me. I know all about problems with teams' decisiveness. Doing a move like that, Derek, and then not crashing out on the move is stupid. Why are you not playing Derek Queen at the end of the regular season when you know good and goddamn well you traded draft capital to get him? And honestly, Derek Queen, even though I hate the archetype of player he is, had moments where he looked, solid in the regular season. So to me, it's like that's one thing. Also, Derek Queen and the guard they drafted, I forgot his name. I believe Jeremiah Fears, right?
Fears, yeah.
Yeah. Both of them not playing summer league. What are we doing? What have they proved to not be in summer league? Right? Like that's just a bad organizational choice. And then I could do this shit every year, bro. Like chat. I don't know about y'all. I am so sick and tired of the Zion Williamson images. And I've been tired of this shit for 3 years now. But like, I want to believe every year, and it's just something that happens. Now, granted, Zion had some really good moments last season, but overall, as a Zion watcher, my bar is higher, man. That shit didn't move me. It didn't. And like, I just haven't felt like the buzz and the hope that I felt since that playing game. And I'm hoping to find it this year, but again, they are a roster where they have some of the most important pieces that could help teams win that they don't want to trade. But somehow all these pieces, Derek, for all that, don't work well together. Like, we have not seen this team put forth any semblance of like, oh, this could be a really good team. They've been ass for the past 3 years. And it's painful because I like watching them sometimes, but not knowing who's going to play all the time and just like ultimately seeing the flaws in their roster and their defense, all this stuff. I don't think I'm going to enjoy watching the Pelicans this year. And I hate to say this, but me as the Pelicans shooter, as the Zion stan, this is D tier for me. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I thought you were gonna land that plane in F, and I was like, I kind of get it.
I was right like at F, by the way. Like
yeah,
I was close.
No, I thought the same way, and I'm like, but they're not Kings level. They're not. There's more teams that'll find their way in F for me, but there's enough intrigue. Zion is still a fun to watch when he's able to play, but it is, I think, constant disappointment, unfortunately. And that's the thing. I don't know how Zion hasn't like gotten the request out, or like I don't even. I'm assuming he has requested somewhere. Surely there's been an intern. Someone in his camp has had to be like, okay, can we leave? Because I think it'd just be better for all parties involved. I think Derek Queen ultimately is a power forward, and I think if you're going to make him work, and clearly you think he should work long term, he has to play without Zion because neither one of them can play the five. Exactly. So baffling decision making. I think ultimately it's just a failure of ownership and infrastructure has really let this roster down. And look, man, I mean, we talked about it the other day. Like, this is the team I think that is most likely to be moved in the near future. I love NOLA as a city. The basketball, support, I think, has been less than stellar. And I mean, this organization's given them no reason to trust them. I mean, we saw what happened with Anthony Davis in, a previous era. So, sucks, man. But like, when they're on, cool. But left the TV on is unfortunately accurate for them.
Hey man, shout out to my dog Ethos in the building. He posted on Twitch chat, "Is that Big Dog Derek?" Yes, it is. This
What's
this
up,
is
Ethos?
Big Dog
Appreciate it.
Derek. Yeah, yeah. We are here basically previewing the season in terms of teams that we watch. I think the cool part about this list is like we're also like breaking down kind of what to expect from these teams, regardless if it's
Yeah.
I think good or bad, which is pretty cool. So yeah. But yeah, we will keep it going. Also, this is live on YouTube and Twitch, so I do have the full multi-chat enabled. All of the chats should come through inside of the chat box. And also below, hit that like button if you're on YouTube. If you want to do anonymous donations as well, that is on. My dignity is on the line, so tap in. But let's get back to it though, right, Derek? Uh Alrighty. I have another team that I feel like people are shitting on, and I
Hmm.
get why they're shitting on them. But hot take for me, the team's gonna still be very fun to watch.
Okay.
I have the Charlotte Hornets here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think obviously people are shitting on them because they traded LaMelo. And don't get me wrong, like you know me, like I didn't love the LaMelo trade simply because it reminds me so much of when Minnesota traded Cat after making it to the conference finals. Like you were just becoming a relevant basketball team, and you could have tried to build to the infrastructure, but then you traded for Julius Randle. Granted, you did go back to that same place, but you did get belted ass again, and then you wound up having to salary dump Julius Randle to go, ironically, go and get a LaMelo Ball. So like it does tie in.
Hmm.
But the difference I think here is the timeline of who the Hornets are isn't as like at least with the Wolves, like you have Anthony Edwards, so like I can get wanting to have the freedom, stuff. To be fair to LaMelo, he hasn't really played a lot of games in his career, and part of that has been the Hornets, I would say, keeping him out. But a part of it is also he is just a player that can be prone to injury. So seeing him leave is tough because again, I love watching Charlotte. Charlotte, for me last year was S tier easily. I was watching almost all their games, especially after January. They're one of the best watches in the NBA. They were a league pass darling for me. I was on them. And I'm gonna be real with you. While LaMelo's gone, Kobe White and the shit he did in that playing game and also at the end of the season, he's still gonna be pretty good. Kai Kneppel is easily one of the best shooters in the league, bar none. His efficiency might go down a little bit, but I think he's still a very serviceable player. And then again, Nas Reed is good. Now, I have been on the Nas Reed is overrated train for a very long time, and I will stand and die by that take for sure. But Nas Reed on this team makes sense and it's fun. Like they finally have a forward that can really shoot the hell out the ball. I love that for them. And he gives them size, so that way if you have to play Musa with him, at least you have double the size. Because last year they were kind of tiny outside of that, right? So that matters. And last but not least, Brandon Miller could be Paul George. Like that's where his overall ceiling could reach to potentially. We don't know, but I like what Brandon Miller could also turn into. You know what I'm saying? So I like Charlotte. To me, I still put Charlotte in primetime hoops. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think even, I mean, like you mentioned LaMelo up top, obviously a great talking point. Will definitely factor into his new team and their ranking. But you know how I feel about LaMelo. Never really been a fan.
Yeah, I do.
Ultimately, I find him more reductive for team basketball, but still entertaining. So losing that, you would think would set them back. I think it does from, for many fans, it will. But I really like this roster. I mean, one of my notes was, is Kobe White ready for this? That is a big question. I think if he was to you just said like one for one replace LaMelo, he couldn't do that.
No.
But I think this team is going to look, structurally and function structurally different without LaMelo. Losing a big playmaker like that is a big difference. So you have to make the adjustment. But the top note I had after, Coach Lee is serious, which, respect to Charlotte, I think their coaching staff has done really, really well.
Yeah.
Boston, move aside. I'm shooting this three is what I have written down. I think they are going to go all in and 63s a game, I think is completely possible, which like just sounds
Yeah.
like hyperbolic. It sounds like I'm making that number up, but like Boston was at like 50-point or 53-point attempt threshold last year. Charlotte could have a few 60s. I think that's like really possible.
I mean, Nas Reed
Um,
might take 10.
like that's the thing. Everyone's got a shooter.
Yeah.
Nasri could take them. Khan, obviously. Brandon Miller certainly got them up last year. But they brought in Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, like two very, very good shooters in their own right. Like, so the depth is there. Like, there's just a lot of competent basketball players
Right.
that are going to be playing for this team. So I think they're still going to be very entertaining. I do agree with, I think it was Lou in Twitch. It said like this is like a
Mhm.
calculated step backwards. I tend to agree. I think it may
Yeah.
not result in the wins necessarily, but is very good development. I think it was a tactical decision to move on from LaMelo. So I
Yeah.
still have them in primetime hoops as well.
And like to be clear, Protos for me is a downgrade because again, beforehand I had them S tier, but they're still going to
Right,
be
right.
a very good team. So like I think people aren't talking about them as much because of the falling over for Minnesota, which I definitely understand. But I
Sure.
don't think people understand structurally like how dangerous they still are offensively. Like this could still be like a top 10 offense in the league.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think just the numbers game alone, even if you don't think they
Right.
have the names, excuse me. Like Diabate is still like a really good fit. We saw what he did last year. But drafting Steinbach, I think, is also a big deal. Like that he could be,
Yes.
I mean, he might not be a franchise center, but like I think he's gonna be a very easy fit for what they're looking for. So yeah, I'm excited. I think they're gonna be a
Yeah.
really fun team.
And last thing on Charlotte, by the way, again, because I do feel remiss to not say his name while talking about Charlotte. I will always remind NBA fan. Again, I'm gonna go full screen for this, by the way. To start the season at the beginning before he got hurt, the player that was second in stocks behind Wemby was Ryan Kalkbrenner. Super high on him. If he can develop, scary. I love him.
Mm.
So fun. Definitely tap into Charlotte. In chat, Wiesnix, I think is how you say your name. If you could make one trade for the Timberwolves to get them the chip over OKC Spurs in the West and versus teams in the East, what trade would you make? Oh, that's a loaded question because that comes down to like how realistic is the trade. I'll say this: if you're asking like the missing piece that they need to trade for, it's obviously a four who can be dynamic. Like I would love it if they could get a player like Pascal Siakam, Aaron Gordon, I guess more realistic wise, probably PJ Washington, like some type of four that can like shoot the ball. I would say ball handle and play defense. Ideally, that's what they need. Now they have no money. They traded a lot of assets to go get LaMelo Ball, so that'll be tough. So I don't know.
I mean, I think that's ultimately the point is they're capped out, so
Yeah.
everything's just a fantasy trade, unfortunately. I mean, I think the player that would put them over, I think you can go like 1 degree less than some of those guys would be an Andrew Wiggins. I
Right.
think you can keep J Mac at the 4, and you know, Wiggs is big enough at this point where he can be interchangeable. I feel like, but I think that's ultimately what you want is some competent shooting, good rebounding, especially for the position. You know, defensive minded, all that's great. I mean, that's the thing about the T-Wolves. It's like, okay, you've got Ant who cares about defense about half the time and can look really good when he does. LaMelo, who's not known to be a defender, but you can get some stocks and stuff.
Yeah.
But J-Mac and Gobert are fantastic defenders still. So
Right.
do they have enough? I think Wiggs would be that perfect player, but yeah, it's really hard to foresee where a trade even comes from without breaking up that core.
Yeah. Hope that answers your question, Eam. These Knicks, welcome to the stream. He said, thank you guys for your answer. Appreciate you, Brody. Welcome to the stream. We do these
Yeah,
every
thanks, man.
now and then. In chat, Cookies also said, didn't realize Rui already signed the Clippers. Damn, they fucked. Yeah, Rui is also off the table for the fourth spot. I think this is very, you know what? Honestly, we might as well go next, I think, to Minnesota, since we're already talking so much about Minnesota.
Sure.
I think the trade Minnesota made was a brilliant trade from the perspective that you're pairing Anthony Edwards with the talent that is his same age. You're filling a gap on your roster that you've had for a considerable amount of years. Like for like a long time, they even predates Anthony Edwards, honestly. And I think that you have to make a gamble on the health of the player for sure. Like that's kind of why you got him. But at the same time, like you didn't really give up any like confirmed first round picks outside of one of them. The rest of them are swaps that are really out of your hands, and also the swaps are not like favorable swaps according to the reporting around them. So it's understandable. You do lose your front court depth, but I'm going to be real honest. Julius Randle was tanking the watchability of that team in general, and he was just ass in the playoffs. We just got to, you know what I'm saying? Sorry. That is what it is. And I think losing Nas really hurts because of the shooting for sure, especially because one of your other best, I think, guys at shooting the ball is out for the whole year because of the Achilles injury. So yeah, it's tough, but I think LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards hoops is S tier hoops. I'm sorry. I'm watching every game. I'm also a prime member of Gobert FC, and don't let Rudy Gobert get a 5 points per game buff because of simple LaMelo Ball reads. I would love to watch it. So I'm here for it. Also, big member of Jaden McDaniels. I think the other part that people are not talking about enough is now that you have Randall off of this team, he can really get to those spots on the floor offensively because it's not going to get clogged up by Randall needing the ball at times. So I think that could be really good for his overall development. I don't love him at the 4, though. I still think this team needs to get a better 4. But that on top of, I would say, Jalen Clark. I would say Terrence. I think Shannon. I like the Wolves. I will be watching a ton. And again, we just said I think Charlotte is going to take 53s. LaMelo and Ant are both taking 10 confirmed. That's going to happen next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, like I said, despite my thoughts on LaMelo, they are an S tier watch. All I've got down for them is absolute chaos or absolute fire.
Yeah.
That this is absolutely, I think, Anthony Edwards' like official coming out party. I think he had a fun rookie year. Then I think he has like that big shooting jump. Then I think last year he tries to balance it out. Now you get to be full-time 2 guard. You have a legit number 1 for all of LaMelo's flaws. He definitely answers a lot of like big needs for this team. Gives you the positional size, which is great, even if he's not the best defender. Rebounding's a plus. Playmaking's obviously fantastic. The shooting buff is also pretty real. So, you're getting a lot with LaMelo. Obviously, as always, the big question is, can you play the games?
Right.
If he's available, it should be relatively smooth sailing, I think. Now, the absolute chaos might not even be this team. Everyone could play 82 games. It might still be chaos just because I really wonder how Finch is going to deal with these personalities. He has been someone who strikes me as someone like he could really rub the wrong way very quickly. And LaMelo obviously is a guy that, like I think takes some getting used to. So very interested to see how Coach Finch handles that. But the talent is very much there. The infrastructure is there. This is gonna be a good team one way or the other. So very much easy S tier. This is gonna be a fun watch every single night.
Yeah, and like for me at least, the other reason why I had this team S tier is just the life I think LaMelo will inject into the team. Like this was like a very moody team up and down. I feel like during the regular season, I feel like you need a player like that like is gonna always bring the vibes and like the crazy chaotic moments. And also, I just think LaMelo Ball is gonna bring the best out of Anthony Edwards. I think regardless of how you feel about who LaMelo is as a player, the way that he empowered Colin Knuppel, the way that he did the same thing for Brandon Miller, I think it's gonna be more of the same for Ant. And Ant is basically a superstar. So like if Ant is getting more quality shots, more better reads, this could be a breakout MVP caliber season for Anthony Edwards. And that changes a lot for Minnesota. So I'm here to watch it for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. In chat, I believe Kuro said, what about the lack of size in certain matchups though? It was great for them versus Denver and San Antonio, and also weaker POA defense just by having LaMelo on the court. Yeah, that that's gonna exist for sure. I feel like this is not a trade you make because like that can't be the reason why you don't trade for LaMelo. You trade for LaMelo because you're really in the mud. Like this build with Randall wasn't really going far, and you're taking a gamble on restructuring. And I don't think it's like all based on this season. It's more so based on like the next three. So like after this year is up, a couple players are going to be on the books, and then after that, you just have to be a good GM and find players who can fit in next to the LaMelo and core. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's the vision. Also, the counter to that, I would say, is while that's true, their Achilles heel in all of these overall series were we're gonna double Anthony Edwards. We don't give a fuck about Julius Randle, and sometimes you're gonna get hit or miss. I would say production from I think Jaden McDaniels. Having LaMelo Ball on the floor should have lessened the amount of doubles you see for Ant, and at the very least, offensively, you just have higher variance. I think than before. So that matters to me too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's forgetting about like Dosunmu. I think was brought in to kind of answer some of those questions.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that like I don't know if that's gonna be the starting five, but I could see a world where it's essentially LaMelo, Ant, Dosunmu, J Mac, and Gobert. So I think the athleticism, the POA
I think
is
that's the
there.
closing
That's
five.
fine.
I think that's the closing five. I don't
Yeah.
think it you know like I think they're a much more dangerous team if I was off the bench. Honestly.
Yeah, like I do imagine there's going to be some stagger because I think he's probably your next ball handler. You probably want Ant not having to create for himself immediately every time. I think. Oh yeah, I was going to say Mike Conley's not here anymore, so the vet presence is maybe not there. But like I don't know, you got Terrence Shannon who had like a couple moments last year, so like there's
Yeah.
athleticism. There might not be great POA, but I think there's good enough, which I think for the infrastructure, if Gobert is able to still play like Gobert, that's fine. That's definitely more than enough to win.
And like I might get laughed at for saying this, but to me, like the point of getting LaMelo is to unlock Ant as a two-way shooting guard and not be like the full, thing.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
really unlocking Anthony Edwards to play more of the POA role, he should be able to have more energy towards because he doesn't have to have the ball and make everything happen. Like that's the point of having LaMelo on his team. So you should see more from Ant because I think last year he was pretty bad on, I would say, the overall defensive side. But we know Ant can play defense, so that's the point to me. And this is the first time we're seeing LaMelo play with a team that has real expectations day one, and seeing what that
Yeah.
looks like will be super fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely the best defensive infrastructure LaMelo's ever played with.
Yes,
That helps.
yeah. So yeah, W Charlotte, man, W Charlotte. We're gonna give you, I think. Sorry, said Charlotte. W Minnesota. I'm gonna just move on. Okay. Next team here. This is a team that people are looking at funny in the light. I think a lot of people had this team as one of the best teams in the NBA. They have a MVP candidate, but I think people are uncertain on how good this team is anymore after the disappointment from last year. That would be your Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, man. Where are we with their watchability this upcoming season?
Oh, I still had them in A tier. First thing is Jokic, what's left? Because I think he did have a disappointing stretch for a good chunk of last year, but he's still an MVP candidate, like you said. I mean, still, is going to be best in the world talks at some point. I think the disappointment is like what's really changed, right? So I think that's the disappointing factor is that there wasn't maybe enough changes per se with this roster, but I still think it's good for the most part. Latest addition was Lonnie Walker, who I think is a good fit as far as what they are looking for in the back end of their bench. I mean, I don't know, man. Like it's just what this team's going to be. I think a 1A offense and a questionable defense at times, but they've got a lot of what I'm looking for. You've got star power with Jokic and to a lesser degree Murray. Very good offense. You're always going to have, especially with those two on the floor. You've got some star power. They were a top 10 watch last year. In fact, they were 6th overall. Houston was top 5. I have no idea why. So yeah, like they've got all the pieces to be a good watch. I think they were just a little disappointing as far as contending status. But that's all. I mean, personally, that's all I got. I don't think I can really hate on them much more. I will say Denver having like their own like programming as far as watching makes them more difficult to tune into consistently
That
sometimes.
is fair.
But
Nah, yeah, true.
like that's a drag. But Adam Silver already makes us use like 8 different streaming devices to and services to watch the game. So it's just another one to add. And like kind of late starts. But otherwise, I don't know. I can't move them down much more than A.
Yeah, I feel like regardless of what you feel of their championship odds or whatever, I still think they're one of the better teams to watch just because of the star power. I mean, listen, say whatever you want to say about Jamal Murray as a player in the playoffs or whatever. He was an All NBA player last year in the regular season. He was fun to watch. I'm sorry, he just was. I think you also are going to see MVP greatness again out of Jokic because this is a contract year for Jokic, by the way. Because remember, he did not pick up the extension. He can make, I think, up to $400 million. So we can see, like, listen. I know the gimmick is Jokic don't care. Okay, we could see a crazy Jokic this year. So like, I'm actually excited for like the regular season. I think Denver Nuggets because I think they also know based on the powerhouses of the Thunder and the Spurs, they need to be seated correctly. So it'll be
Right.
interesting to see how that looks for them. So yeah, I think Primetime Hoops is a fair place for them, honestly. So yeah. Now this team, all right, this is probably the team on the list that I have reached for the most on this tier list. Okay, I'm gonna just say their names. The Memphis Grizzlies. Where are we putting the 2026 Memphis Grizzlies? And I'm gonna take the point on this. Okay, and you know what? Derek, I'm put the camera on me. All right, this is the team that I feel like I have ridden the hardest for. A lot of y'all are going to say this team sucks. Well, I'm not watching this team. And I'm have to say, I respect that. But as the trench hoop enjoyer, as someone who is like knee deep in a $170 fantasy league, which by the way, if anyone wants to join, we got 3 spots available because it's a very competitive league. Super fun. I was watching Memphis and I can't lie. I was kind of moved. I like Javon Small. I like Ty Jerome. Taylor Hendricks is a player that had potential before he broke his leg, had a really good summer league. Cam Boozer, didn't know much about him from college, but from the tape and from what I saw in summer league, he'll be fun. Zach Edey defensively next to Cam Boozer. Love that fit. And I just feel like they're gonna be a team that is gonna be a team you don't expect to be in the playing hunt, but they will be. And I think because they're such a wonky team that just looks weird, they're gonna be a enjoyable watch team for this upcoming season, especially because Ty Jerome is gonna play more than 22 minutes in close games. Because even when he came back, they had him severely minutes limited. Now the overall talent, I'm not gonna argue with you. It might not stand out to you. They don't have like a Curry, a LeBron, a Tatum, a Booker. Like they don't have like a 1A player. But the overall assortment of talent, I think, is more intriguing than people think. So from my perspective, I'm putting them at the top of League Pass activated for me. I will be on League Pass watching the shit out of Memphis this year. I'm gonna at least watch maybe 50 games.
All right. I mean, we did just talk about this, so I'll keep it relatively short. All I've got down is Boozer and Fun Wings. Can the guards make me interested? And how long are they going to try? Which I think is ultimately going to be the coin flip here. I think if this team is able to try for more than 30 games, where maybe they have like a dark horse run, play in, and they're gonna like care about that. Their picks are gonna fall where they lay, and they're not really gonna like tank. If they don't tank, I think this is a League Pass activated team.
Okay.
If they like just kind of mail it in after 30 games, or they really stink and they're worse than I think either of us think, this has to be no subscription hoops. But I'll give the benefit of the doubt that Boozer will be fun. There's athleticism here. Maybe the guards are better than I think, and you're really on that Ty Jerome train. Like
I'm on it.
Memphis has found a way, like during the Ja era, Triple J, etc., like to be more competitive than really they should have been very often, and they have suffered horrendous injury luck like the last 7 to 10 years.
Yep.
So if they can find like finally like a good bounce their way, and guys are able to like stay on the floor, I could talk myself into League Pass activated. I think they're at the bottom of it, but I can talk myself into League Pass.
Cool. That's all I wanted. I'm very happy that they are gonna be in this tier. Chat. I will let you know. On this channel, we will be watching Memphis Hoops live. I will be doing it. We will be having some film spaces every week or so where like we look at some teams in Memphis. We'll definitely be on there. I'm curious in exactly what they're gonna do this season. So yeah, I think Jazz and Memphis are pretty much in the same tier. I think that's valid. Let's move on to a team that is gonna probably be good, but I think a lot of people are just out on watching, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, where do we put Cleveland? Because we can't say they don't have 2-star players. They do. Maybe, no, sorry, actually 3, technically speaking, but it's like watchability. Where are you with the Cavs?
I've got, funnily enough, it's the same as the Sixers as far as now or never.
Yeah.
Because, man, there's pressure to win. There is some serious pressure to win. I just put Mobley, please. Like, please. I'm still a believer. You got to turn the corner because that should be the 3rd star. You know what I mean? He should be bona fide star. And I think he can do it. It's like a mentality thing. I feel like all the tools are there. There's nothing left to do but just use them. And I put analytically, we are an A watch, which should tell you that they are in fact a B watch.
Analytically.
After last year, man, the playoffs definitely left a sour taste in my mouth. I was not happy with, like, you went from wondrous Kenny Atkinson offense, great movement, cutting, to set up so much, and then it just would still devolve into D-Mitch ISO, Harden dribble. Just very, like, boring hoops very quickly. And then Allen and Mobley took turns being disappointments offensively. So it was frustrating. They're kind of walking in this season with the same problems. I think Harden's technically not even re-signed yet. So
he's not.
That's weird. So we'll see how that goes. But assuming everyone comes back, like, good team, very good basketball team. I want to have more hope, but they're League Pass activated. I think, like, definitely not prime time. If nothing like systematically changes, they're cool.
I want to say shout out to Emperor and Chad. I'll be there for the Coco Jones has that show. Coco Jones is why they are League Pass activated.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. One real reason to lock in.
Absolutely. We can knock out some of the higher tier names. One of the 2 best teams in the league, arguably the best team in the league, still Oklahoma City Thunder.
Sure, easy S. I'll just throw what did I put down here for them? I said, J-Dub, please come back. Like, I really hope J-Dub's healthy. I think he could return to being an elite 2-way player. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think now it's like, okay, you kind of had a disappointing end of your season. You got to try a little bit harder. So maybe come back with a vengeance. I mean, this team didn't really get worse. So they're just going to be super competitive, a good watch. And as I told you the other day, 1.8 million people watch this team on a nightly basis. That was last year's stats, the most in the league. So people tune in, people watch them. That crowd is fantastic. That's another easy S.
All right, I'm gonna attack this from a Twitter talking point. Okay, most people on Twitter, at least how it sounds, they freaking hate this team. They hate this team. They think Shea is completely unwatchable. They hate the cockiness of the team, the small guys, whatever it is. I think this is a team that a lot of people are gonna hate watch, and at least off the sense of a hate watch, that means your eyeballs are on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I also think that Shea, regardless of how people feel, during the regular season, he plays very consistently at an MVP level. It's gonna be a lot of crazy performances from Shea, especially if it's really against good comp. I think that will be super fun basketball to watch. I have them S tier because despite the talent, because you could argue this is really a Acer team because they built the ass teams and then like those games become not really enjoyable in the regular season. I think because of the players they have on their roster who have extended roles, like I would say a Jared McCain, or even some of the super young talent, which might get some burn in the middle of the season, in like a Bennett Sturts or I would say Adamara. This team has a lot of creativity they can get to, and I'm very invested in the growth of Case and Wallace this season. Of I would say AJ Mitchell, who were super fun players in the playoffs. How that projects out to like a full season is going to be fun to watch. And Mark Dennell knows how talented this team is. So he be on bullshit with these lineups in the regular season, and I do find that hilarious. So I have the mess tier as well.
Yeah, I mean they're going to experiment, but I think they really do know what this team is, and they know they have to kind of lock in. We kind
Yeah.
of predicted that they would take their foot off the gas a little bit, which they did. Which is not terrible. This is still a super young team. They're still figuring themselves out. Long term, like what it takes
Yeah.
to stay focused to win consistently. And I think they just got surprised last year. But this is still really good. This is still a really, really good team. They're going to be right back.
Yeah. And it was good. Oh shit, what's good, Nico? Welcome to streaming live for almost 2 hours now. We're almost done with this tier list here. We are ranking teams based off watchability from S to F. S tier is Adam Silver, Take My Money. A tier is Prime Time Hoops. C tier is League Pass activated. No, sorry,
B tier.
that's B tier.
Yeah.
Right. C tier is no subscription hoops, meaning you're not really gonna pay to watch this team play. D is left the TV on. You accidentally had it on. You were not really watching the game. It was just noise in the background, but it was cool. And then D is like F tier is like we're not turning you on. We're not probably watching you for the most part. So that's what it is. Moving on to a team that I'm actually very high on. Maybe irrationally high on. The Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
The Chicago. So listen, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I think I might be the one up here who is a Chicago Bulls truther because I think 2 years ago it happened. The post All-Star break Chicago Bulls, when they were going on that run with Joshua Giddey, had some of the most entertaining basketball I've seen in my life. Damn near, like it was like I'll never forget the game versus LA where it was super close and the Josh Giddey half court buzzer beater game winner was crazy. Even Zach LaVine back the day before that was super fun to watch on the book. Like they're a team that is always playing mediocrity, but I'm telling you, it's a part of the season where it's like, nah, they cutting the hell up. This is really fun basketball to watch. I have them in my S tier. And the reason why I have the Bulls S tier this year is because Caleb Wilson moves the shit out of me. I love the way that he sounds. I like the archetype. I like seeing the way that he builds up. More importantly, you put Josh Giddey next to athletes, I'm watching that shit. Regardless of how you feel about who he is, Josh Giddey, playmaker wise, with athletes is super fun to watch. And I just think this is going to be a team that's going to be an annoying young team and is going to find themselves in games again. Like you're going to see a game where it's like, why is OKC going band for band with the Bulls and the score is 125 to 126 and there's 4 minutes left in this game? What is happening? Like you're going to see them in a lot of moments like that, even though they're not a good team. I'm telling you right now, the Bulls are probably not a good team, but they will be fun to watch. It's going to be some crazy random stuff. Also, having another like pick that could have been number one pick and seeing the way that he develops, I'm here for it, man. I really, really am. So I have them S tier. I can probably be talked down from S tier, but I know for a fact I will be watching the Bulls play. I will be tapped in.
Man, I mean, look, they're going to be a fun team. I agree with most of what you said. I think the part you're just leaving out is like this team doesn't know what offense is. Like, yeah, Giddy's doing a whole lot of carrying. I don't trust the shooting
He
on
is.
this team, despite Norm Powell, like who, for some reason, a lot of people just think sucks straight up. I don't understand where that came from, but Norm Powell can only do so much shooting on this team, and there's even like less dribblers on this team. I know Caleb Wilson had like a fire summer league. I love Caleb Wilson, like extremely high. I had a hard time telling myself like I'd be crazy to take him number one overall, but as a fan of the prospects coming in, he was number one on my board. I think he'll be an elite two-way player. Having said that, he won't be an elite two-way player this year. Um,
Mm,
and I agree with Gifted as far as they'll be in a lot of games. I think an OKC like band for band's a fantastic example. But there's going to be a lot of dumb mistakes, and they're going to lose a lot of those games.
true.
And again, it's going to be fun for a little bit. But once they realize they are in fact losing these games, the watchability will only stay on for so long. So very fun team. I think League Pass activated is a fair spot for them. They will be a fun watch. I will tune in. Respect Caleb Wilson propaganda. I will push. That's it, man. Like Matas Buzella's dunks. Like, what else am I
I'm
tuning
here,
into?
bro. You got Matah Buzella's dunks. You have late clock Josh Giddey behind the back lob to Caleb Wilson. Listen, the Bulls transition game might be the best transition game in the league. When they're on the break, it's
The
gonna be
Sixers
super fun to
exist.
watch.
The Sixers exist.
I said might. I said might. I said might. I didn't say
There's
will.
3 players that will run the break. By the way, like the guard depth here sucks. I'm sorry. Trey Jones is cool, but is really like a great third stringer,
I don't like Trey Jones.
respectfully. Rob Dillingham, dude, like that's it. No, they're gifted. I'm serious. There are people on this team that just straight up cannot dribble the basketball. They'll be asked to dribble the basketball.
That's fair.
Yeah, like
But like the
nah.
part where I think we differ is I truly feel like because of the draft odds, like it's funny because the Bulls are one of those teams where they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Right? So when all the other teams are tanking, they're trying to win close games to be the 7th seed. And it's fun basketball because teams come in expecting wins against the Bulls and they don't get them. And it's a close game.
I mean, here's the thing, but that's like old Eastern Conference mentality. Like that's now gone because the 7 seed days were a thing for a while, but that's gone now. We're talking 9th and 10th seed is what these teams are playing for. And they're going to quickly realize that that's really not them. So, like, I get it. The draft odds are going to switch things up, but we're going to see this team lose a lot, and they're going to realize what they are. Like, if this team hits 35 wins, that's a miracle. Straight up. 35 wins is a miracle for this team. I'm sorry. I can't have that. That ain't sniffing S tier, and respectfully, it's not A tier. I think B tier is respectful. I had them in C, and I talked myself up to B.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, dude, it is not fun watching a team that struggles to pass, shoot, and dribble. I promise you. It is a tough watch.
That's fair. Like, okay, maybe I'm just falling too much in love with how much fun I had. Because I'm telling you, you know me. I was calling you saying, Derek, you gotta watch the Bulls. I was the only one in your life calling you saying, yo, you gotta watch the Bulls. I put money on that.
And look, respectfully, that's good, but there's also a reason for that. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like Emperor mentioning Billy, like that's another weird situation.
Yeah, Billy is gone too. Yeah,
but it's like, is he really going to lose his job because of performance? I don't think so. I think it's just the timing. What's the word? Like the timelines don't line up. So I don't know, man. Like as messy hoops, like the Bulls are really like very Houston. They are very Houston Rockets coded.
I'm taking the Bulls over the Rockets 10 times out of 10 every time.
You say that now, man, but when there is no Kevin Durant to make jump shots, you're going to have a hard time. enjoying this team consistently. So I'm gonna give you a
Okay.
league pass. I'm not budging out off of that.
All right, all right. I don't want to put up a poll for the Chicago Bulls, so I'll settle. I will settle for league pass. I'll do that, but we will revisit this conversation at like All Star break.
Sure, sure. That's the perfect time for you to revisit because that's when they'll still kind of care. But it's after that, I promise it's gonna be downhill.
Not fair. Fair. Okay. Let's go to the team that like actually won the title. The
Sure.
Knicks. I gotta be honest with you. They were super fun to watch in the finals and the playoffs. For me, they'd be an up and down regular season team. So I
Mhm.
really didn't know exactly where to slot them, but at the same time, if the game is close, I feel like there's no better watch. Because it's just wild shit they be getting to anytime the game becomes really close, especially like in random games in the regular season. So because of
Right.
that, I put the Knicks in prime time, even though I don't
Okay.
know exactly like how confident I am they'll be that in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. I think the finals recency bias, even though we're some months removed, had me thinking S at first because I do think Brunson's just got the clutch gene and like this team just found ways to win, which
Yeah.
is still true in the regular season. But you're right. I mean, there were times where it's ugly stretches, um, you know, like Cat, had the tale of two seasons. OG and Mikel are different players in the regular season. So it is difficult to see the case being made for S. I mean, this is a really good basketball team, obviously.
Yeah.
They still will be a really good basketball team. But yeah, watchability. I mean, I had them S maybe out of just respect. I think maybe Primetime Oops is probably a better spot for him.
Yeah, fair. Fair. I'm all right with that. And I think this is a very good list for Project Hoops as well. I think all these teams are that, so that's fair. Um, well, let's go to the other team in New York, the Brooklyn Nets, a team that a lot of people just have depression about. I'm
Hmm.
gonna make a case right now for the Brooklyn. I think what people aren't like properly rating, and we said this earlier, like I truly do feel like this is another team. Now, granted, they're a worse team than these teams, but the head
Hmm.
coach, I feel like Jordy Fernandez is going to be incentivized to win more basketball games. And I'm sorry, but this is a team that like I literally saw them trade away pieces because Jordy was finding ways to win early in the season. I remember, I think the game versus Denver, like there were multiple games in the regular season where it's like this team's a lot better than people think, and this team probably sucks, right? I think Igor Demon is going to be very fun. I think to watch the growth. I like Mikhail Brown as well. I think he's going to be another good fit piece. Listen, I don't like Julius Randle, but Julius Randle, when there's nothing to play for in the regular season, is going to be getting to it. And I think EPJ had actually a really good season that nobody cared about at all.
Hmm.
So with all of that being said for Brooklyn, with I think Jordan Fernandez wanting to coach them up more, I'll put them at the bottom of no sub hoops.
Yeah, this was my last team in F. So like like
I get it.
you're
I do
not
get
you're
it.
not wrong in the things you said. Like I agree Demon was a brighter spot than I expected. I do like Mikael Brown. I don't think either of them are ready for real offense, which unfortunately means Randall and MPJ will be doing stuff. And I don't care for Randall or MPJ. So it makes it hard for me to want to tune in.
I hear that.
Now, of course, they play the Sixers quite a bit, like East Coast team. So the watchability, like availability, is certainly
Yeah.
there for me to watch them. So maybe off of just that alone, I'll see them. But for want to watch, I mean, it is so low. Like Drake Powell, unfortunately, like he was one of their few draft picks I was excited about. Very much like a probably 15-minute, maybe 20-minute night guy. Uh, so that's not too exciting. Like I mean, who do we got? Like Danny Wolf, is he going to see minutes? I'm trying to remember even who else like makes up the rest of their bigs. Like they signed Mo Wagner. He
Yeah.
left his brother to come here for money, I guess. I don't know, man. Like that's the thing. Jordy Fernandez is I believe, a good coach.
Uh
Maybe they will be incentivized to try a bit more, but like, try for what? Like the East is just better than them, you know? Like
yeah. Yeah, it is.
aside from the Bucks, there's no Eastern team. I really have a like. I can definitely be like, yeah, Brooklyn's definitely better than them for sure. Like, there's not a one.
I'm
So
not
I
gonna
don't know,
lie.
man.
This sounds like left the TV on.
Yeah, I could talk myself into D tier. I think that's fair, and because of the fact I probably will be watching them a lot because they're playing the teams that I will be watching.
Right.
Off of that alone, maybe they can, yeah, sure, they can get into D tier.
Question is, are they over the Bucks or the Pelicans, or like are they like the bottom of the tier to you?
They should be just off of quality. Like I think Pelicans are the top of D tier. I think
Okay,
the Bucks. It's honestly a coin flip between Bucks and Brooklyn, honestly. Like,
that's fair.
but the Pelicans off of like sheer the fact that I have enough emotion about them means they're better. um, I have so little care for Milwaukee and Brooklyn currently.
In chat, Gene said I watched a lot of Nets games last year for no reason. Yeah, it's bro. The Nets
Right.
and the Bulls are two of the teams that I just wound up watching for some reason. So like, I do feel you on that for sure. I can't even say they're gonna be better than the Bucks. Yeah, yeah. I don't.
For real.
I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I think
That's possible.
I think they fit in this tier area. That's fine. Moving on to a team that's very confusing because they're currently engaged in a RICO case. The Toronto Raptors, who acquired
Mhm.
Kawhi Leonard, that, in my opinion, I would have probably had this team S tier because I really love the team with Kawhi, but now I don't know if he's gonna play. I think we said yesterday for the tier list, we're just gonna assume Kawhi is there. So I'll make my case.
Yeah.
If Kawhi is on the Raptors, I view them as an S tier watch. And my reasoning for that is I feel like the vibes are going to be very high. This could be another breakout year for Scotty Barnes as well. I think the defense is going to be super fun to watch. And more importantly, seeing Kawhi Leonard be like, your role is to go get baskets and add on to a very good defense. I think it'll be exciting to watch. Also, Colin Murray Boyles and his growth as a player, I'm very invested in because he was super fun to watch last year. He was really good in the playoffs. Almost was the reason why they beat the Cavs in the first round, ironically. And I just think subtracting Brandon Ingram hoops away makes it a much more enjoyable product. So for me, I have them at like the bottom of S tier. I think I could be talked into A tier, but I feel like with Kawhi as like the star guy and Barnes, I like watching them, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with everything you said except the first part where you said Kawhi and vibes. Never associated Kawhi with the guy who brings happiness to a team.
Oh, no.
But
Only in Toronto specifically because they love him, I think, more than anyone else.
Toronto, yes, has the
Yeah.
vibes. I don't know that
Right.
the team will, but
Yeah.
regardless, no, I mean everything else I agree with. Like defensively, this team will be terrific. Offensively, I agree with all the Scotty stuff. I'm definitely high on Barnes. What I'm not high on is, again, we brought this up with the Bulls. They have a similar issue in that there's not a lot of people who can dribble on this team.
That's fair.
And I think they've got some recipes for like dealing with the shooting, but like Boyles is not a spacer, and there's kind of like a logjam at the four right now because they did draft a good prospect, I believe, in Graves, who should get minutes for sure this year.
Yeah.
But I don't really think of him as a three. So I think they've got a lot of just size, and then they like awkward size. This really went back to Team 6'9", like from the Masai Ujiri days. Like Jakob Pertl's your only 7-footer, and then you have your former Warrior TJD as like your actual backup 5. So like CMB is going to be some 5, I imagine. Maybe Scotty is technically a 5 in some lineups if they want to get really kooky and creative. So offensively, I'm not completely sold. I think RJ Barrett and IQ are sadly just odd men out who haven't found new homes yet. I think if you got rid of them and brought me back like someone else who can dribble the basketball and ideally shoot and pass, I could talk myself into S.
I think that's valid.
I had them kind of like at the bottom side of A, but I mean we can sort
Okay.
them out later. But I think Primetime Hoops is a good spot.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at that. Yeah. I think prime time at the end of that is fair. It's cool. All right, man. Let me just rip the band
Mm,
off. Go to state, man.
mhm.
All right, bro. Let's talk, man. Let's talk. All right. Listen, I am a Warriors fan. For those of you who don't know, I'm gifted hoops. I make content. Woo. Uh, as a Warriors fan, the vibes are awful. I hate this front office. I want them to trade Steph Curry. I've been saying it for years. Just move on if you're not gonna like actually field a great team around him. It feels like you're not trading Steph because of all the attention and revenue he generates, which again, as a businessman, definitely understand why you wouldn't want to. But as a watcher, this team can be very, very aggravating. As someone that like watches the full 82, when Steph is not playing, it's some of the worst watches you will experience. There will be some games where it's like, oh wow, they won without Steph. That was fun to watch. Cool. Um, if this team had Jimmy Butler to start the season, the way I'm looking at this team is a lot higher. But because they do not, that hurts. I do want to say this: people are slightly underrating the Warriors from the perspective that you have your bigs from day one. Because last year, Al Horford had, I believe, sciatica. They didn't have Porzingis. They had 5 good games of Jonathan Kuminga, and then he was asked for the rest of it, and then wasn't playing. And after Jimmy went down, it was very much Steph go, Steph go. And then there's a whole month of basketball where there was no Jimmy Butler or no Steph Curry. I'm just gonna assume even if Steph does miss time, it's not gonna be as long. And specifically, at least I'm hoping this, it won't be with Butler gone as well. And I think the thing that's saving the Warriors in my rating for them is the fact that you get Yaxel Lenderberg as something to watch that will, immediately inject some life into this team. I think he will be a saving grace for a lot of these games. And I think they're going to still be a team that's competitive enough to be in these games. And I still think everything I said, Steph Curry is still a must-watch player in the NBA. Like, he's going to have nights where it's like you're 38 years old and you just drop 40 points on the best defense in the league. Oh, wait, that was last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to have moments like that. But I think when you look at the overall picture of what the team is, how they basically, like, literally, bro, they're literally the only team in the NBA to make no transaction. They just kept everybody, and that was it. Oh, this is going to hurt my chest. I got to put them in League Pass activated. And honestly, it's like, probably over the Cavs or the Bulls. Like it's right there near the bottom to me.
Yeah, we had the same spot. I
Yeah.
all only notes, I guess similar to your team's offseason. I had the least amount to say and do.
Yeah.
Because all I put down is Steph in a dream and then last rodeo question mark. There is a world where Steph just straight up has to retire after this season, which, I mean, obviously we don't want to see, but like, I have no idea. Because Draymond was a 1-year deal, correct? Like
He was a
1 year,
one-year deal.
28.
Yeah.
So the writing's on the wall, for potential retirement and, swan song for the big three that are still here, including Kerr. So that would make me tune in more. I think just off of you have gold-blooded, shout gold-blooded. I'm in there. Yeah. Shout out to KB, shout out to Denver. I feel like I watch enough with you guys that just off of sheer volume, their league pass.
Yeah.
I agree when Steph doesn't play, that team sucks and is such an awful watch.
It's hard, bro.
They would plummet damn near to F tier when Steph does not play the sport. It is rough, but he plays enough. It's entertaining. And for some reason, there's just hope. Inevitably, there's hope. And I think Jimmy shouldn't be out super, super long. So that'll be nice. I'll tell you what, man, this team would be like damn near, I could almost talk myself into A if there was one more freaking wing. If you had one more viable wing,
I could go A.
I could get into primetime, but realistically, this is a league pass team. Off of sheer volume, we'll be watching, but there'll definitely be a bit of suffering because, like,
I'm gonna wind up watching more Golden State games than some teams in prime time because I'm
Right.
a fan, obviously. But like I just feel like objectively, if you're a neutral fan, the selling point is Curry, and it's gonna be some games where it's like, oh my god, that was like the best basketball game I watched all year. Like you're gonna see a game that feels just like the Golden State versus the Clippers playing game last year, which was an insane game. Like great vibes. It was a like so many big shots were hit. Like it felt like a playoff game. And they're gonna watch a game like the very next game when they played the Suns, where it's just depressing hoops, and it's just like they're not out of it, but they're not in it. You're just watching to watch. So because of that, I'm gonna go lead pass. In chat, Taylor asks, how many games do you think Steph plays? I think he plays 55 games this season. I want to be higher on that because I generally think he had a knee injury that was just random. Like that doesn't really happen where like he's gone for like a entire month of basketball, but he's getting older and he also said that like that's his new normal, which sounds really bad. So he's gonna probably
Mhm.
miss a good amount of games. So I'm prepared for that. Now, if he doesn't listen, if Steph plays 65 games, this is an A tier team because that's just how much of a draw he is. But I'm going B tier. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of have the same. I was thinking 50 to 55 as well for games played, unfortunately. Already
Where do you
trying to
want to
move
put
him
him?
above.
Want to put him right here?
um, I mean, they're above the Grizzlies.
Okay. Here.
Like, yeah, that's fine. The Jazz should be routinely on a night to night basis more entertaining, but I'm a man. Like, it's impossible. If your team did anything to give me the
Like
slightest bit of
anything at
hope,
all. Yeah.
like, cause like I don't know, like, can Yaxel start day one,
He is gonna
or
start it.
is
Yeah. No.
I hope, like, is he a guaranteed starter at the 3?
Yes.
Because he's
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
That'll help, but oof.
He is going to start day one. I think Kerr already said that they know that they're gonna have to play him a lot more. So like they need Axel to actually play. So day one he will start. And I was very moved from what I saw from him in summer league for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, that'll help the watchability. It's just like, dude, I'm sorry, Guy Santos hoops.
Hey, no. Don't do that. Guy Sanders actually saved a lot of watchability for me because when Steph was out, he was very fun to watch. Like he tries hard. He dives on the floor for
he
like every
tries.
loose ball, rebounds. I like watching it. Not very talented, but like I saw him at the really, B pods I hate watching. I like Guy
Yeah,
Santos.
I mean that's fair. I mean,
Oh, I forgot
yeah,
about that.
I guess
Will
from that
Richards
perspective, yeah,
could also have a really
yeah,
big year as well. I like Will Richards too. Yeah,
tough man. Yeah, I think middle of B or top end of B, I guess is the best it can go.
Okay, sure, cool. I'm with it. And last but not least, this team lost LeBron James and went full white. The Los Angeles Lakers, the Snowtime Lakers. Derek, where are you with that?
It's
Oh,
no time Lakers is great.
yes.
Where's my notes? Luca and the Caucasus Mountain. Which really should just be Caucasian Mountain because
Yeah.
I realize Slovenia geographically is actually not that close to the real life Caucasus Mountains, which kind of kills the joke. All NBA AR because a fellow
Ooh.
content creator really believes that AR Austin Reeves AR-15 was all NBA caliber last year before the injury. So that's a fun take. And then JJ
Okay.
without defense, or JJ what is defense? Walker Kessler is here. That helps. That's great. But full-time Caucasian backcourt, is that going to equal good defense? I don't know. But there's players here. No, this is definitely primetime hoops. I have a hard time going S personally, but I could be talked into S. But yeah, like Luca fun. Correct. Luca is fun. Reeves does lean for good hoops. Luca with good center could be great. And I mean, I really trust JJ. I mean, that roster last year really stinks. Like,
And he found a way to
outside of
make that shit work. Yeah.
right? Like outside of that big three, there was a lot of things that just don't really gel on paper that JJ made work, and was entertaining. So that's nice. That's refreshing. also Taylor's right as far as the grifting. Like that is a
That'll be a thing.
takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like now everyone here, literally every team, but every S and A team has a grifter
Yeah.
that does detract. Luca might be the worst. And Reeves might not be that far behind because he has a superstar whistle, and he's certainly not a superstar. So that might be frustrating. However, since every team literally has that same thing, I can't tax them too hard. So I'm gonna say prime time. Maybe the best prime time. I don't know, but definitely A tier.
I'm gonna say prime time because the idea of this is now a fully Luca led roster. There's no question. Like it,
Yeah,
and listen, to be fair, it was already no question, but it's like the concept of like LeBron being a third option, people just didn't really want to buy into. LeBron's not here anymore, so there,
right.
there's no question about this is a Luca team. And what I'll
Hmm.
say is the Lakers were hard for me to watch at the beginning of the year last year, but once Luca got it going in January, they were a very fun team to watch. I think during that burst, especially after AR came back. So because of that and just like the star power of Luca, I think primetime is something I definitely agree with. I think I will put them right behind the Celtics.
Okay. I mean, what I like is to me, is this like a worse version of Luca's Dallas Mavericks team? And then I'm
Yeah,
trying to think back, like, was that Mavericks team an S tier watch?
they were.
Like the obvious difference is it's no Kyrie, so it's you're
Yeah,
forced to compare Kyrie to Austin Reeves. So like
not
I
even
don't know.
close.
I mean, yeah, like that's what I mean. Like that's why I'm struggling. I can't really put them in S, but they have to be an A for sure. Um, Intriguing stuff. I don't know. We'll definitely do reordering later.
Yeah,
To the chat. This isn't like permanent, but the tiers I think kind of are. We'll see.
right. All right. I guess you might as well knock out the top team here. Spurs, which are arguably the best team in the league. I don't think there's much to say. Wemby is must watch basketball. Like, I
Yeah.
think the perfect example of what I mean when I say must watch, when we saw the schedule drop and it was going to be the Spurs versus Dallas, I don't think we do exactly what to expect, but I'm like, I'll watch it. You know what I'm saying? Why not? And the shit we saw Wemby do in that first game of the season, I think set the tone for any, like, if you think Wemby's overrated, the first game of the season is why. Because it's like the way that he babied Anthony Davis and like we're all high on like who he's been as a player and like he made him look like a little child and was doing like shit that was like he was doing sham guys between the legs, dunks, reverse dunks, pull up threes in transition. He will block a shot, bring the ball up, and take a above the break three. I'm sorry, I'm watching that. I'm watching that.
Yeah.
That's S tier. And like I didn't even get to Castle or Harper or like the other players they have. It's S tier for me. I'm sorry.
This is the team I said you could make the case is going to be more watchable than the Sixers.
Yeah.
This is the easiest S period. Like Wemby's the most watchable player. Like there's really no discussion. I think this team's still fantastic. I get the finals may have soured some people on this team, but there's literally nothing that's not fun to watch about this squad, to be honest. Now, they did add Tobias Harris, who might subtract some entertainment. Tobias Harris?
I would argue something here, man. You know me, I don't like Tobias Harris. I don't. But the shit he had to do in Detroit, I'm like, you know what, Tobias? Respect. Because, like, he was their number 2 offensive player and was legit. Like, I'll never forget the 30-point closeout game 7 versus the Magic. Respect to him. I was in the building for that. He did what he needed to do for Detroit to get out of that round. Outside of that, I don't really vibe with him, but he showed a lot of poise when it mattered most for the Pistons. He could do the same thing for a team like the Spurs. So I like the Spurs still. I don't think Tobias tanks them enough to say they're not S tier regardless. I'm cool.
No, they're still S tier. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're certified for sure. Great team. Great watch.
Yep, I'll say the team. This is a confusing team because they traded for Jonathan Kuminga, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, the Warriors
Oh,
gave
never
up too
mind.
late. The Hawks got the plan." And then I had to hear about, "Oh, Gifted, he dropped 19 in the Hawks series. Like he's going to be really good next year." And they don't want his ass right now. So now there is a
Mhm.
question about where he's going to be. But the Hawks are an interesting team. They're the only team that took more than one game off of the champion.
True, true. There's some factors as to why, but yeah, true. Uh, I'm tr- I'm trying to see like so. This was one of my C teams,
Okay.
and like this, all I got down is who are you, Jalen Johnson? Um, you had like the All NBA buzz before. You're certainly a good PRA player. What are you really? Like, what is your ceiling?
Right.
You know, there are new additions, and all I had to say about that was a lot of dudes who want to be dudes. Um, so like what I mean by that is you got players that have expectations as far as like how much they should be playing, how much their usage should be. And I kind of wonder like what is Quinn Snyder's what's the temperature there? Like
Right.
is he secure? Is he safe? Um I don't really know. So like buy-in and identity I have a little bit of a question with. Like, is Jalen Johnson the leader? Is Nikhil Alexander Walker the leader? Is CJ McCollum technically the leader? uh it's a very interesting roster. There's talent here, but what's really my draw on a night-to-night basis, especially with some of these other teams? um like, are they better than mid? I don't really know, so I have a hard time like getting them any higher than no subscription hoops. Me personally.
Who? I gotta think about this. So last year for the Hawks, I'll be honest, I didn't watch much Hawks. Jalen Johnson would have games where it's like he had a 35-point triple double in like
Yeah,
18. Like how the hell do you do that? But I wasn't watching how that happened. I'll just be real. I think to kill Alexander Walker's growth as a player is interesting. They loaded up on, I would say, defensive wings, and
sure.
I think
Well, one.
well, yeah. I just mean
Who's
ever
the other one?
since, yeah, I just mean ever since they got rid of Trey Young. Like now, like the
Yeah,
team
sure.
is more focused on like that more. And I think now I'll say this: offensively, they might be hard to watch. I think CJ McCollum is going to be interesting in terms of like the way they close out games because he's still here on the roster. He also might get flipped at deadline. Uh, yeah, honestly, I agree with you. I think I put them over the Magic in that tier.
Hey, man, off of just propaganda, I gotta push.
Okay,
I know how you feel about Paulo, but I feel like Paulo's more exciting than anybody else here. And like the only player I'm consider like Jalen Johnson and Naw are a lot of fun.
who would you
But
rather watch
like
between Jalen Johnson or Paolo?
it's because I believe in Paulo improving.
Okay,
Um I feel there's a world where Paulo figures it out, and then if he figures it out,
right.
that's cooler.
But it's also the world that he does similar to what he did last year, where he's one of the most inefficient jump shooters in the league. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I don't know.
hmm
I actually don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I think so. Again, East Coast bias here. They're going to be like more available to watch, so that helps them. Um, I don't know, man. Like they're no subscription hoops. I think
I
they're
think they're
worse
in
than
that tier.
Houston. I
I
guess
think I think
I'm
they're
giving
like tied
Magic
with the
benefit of the
Magic
doubt.
basically for me.
That's fine. Yeah, like bump Portland down and put Atlanta there. I'm fine with that.
Let's put Atlanta here.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think that's fine. Yeah. Um, I'm wondering if we should have another team in the turn the TV off tier because it feels tough to only have the Kings there. Like, damn, are they that bad? But I mean, I
They
think that's
are.
valid. Yeah, I gotta think that's
They are.
valid.
I mean, because like we made the case for why the other three teams in D tier are D tier. I'm sorry, there's no saving grace for the Kings.
It just is what it is. Yeah,
Yeah, like I mean, like, and you could say like the Bucks, the Nets, the Pels, certainly. Hell, I mean, there's gonna be the Rockets. Like these teams are going to have nights where it's F tier hoops. Um,
I mean, you could argue like
but
Zach LaVine 30 balls. You have Dylan Carwell try hard hoops. You have Maxime Reynolds' development as a player. You have the intrigue of a young point guard in Darius Acuff. I'm running out
there's
of things to say.
yeah. I mean, you're saying things like Sabonis triple double, woo, like 18, 13, and 10, woo, like yeah, yeah. I mean, chat's also saying like drop the Nets. Like
I think I was
I
saying
am
drop the
down to
Nets.
drop the Nets. Like that is the team that should cozy up to them. Like at least the Bucks right this second have more talent. Like on the upswing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And like the main reason why New Orleans isn't F tier, although you could certainly make an argument for New Orleans as well to
Yeah,
be F tier, if I'm being honest,
you could.
is just like the sheer amount of talent that
Yeah.
they have and what they could do.
Zion alone will keep them out of F. Like
Yeah,
that, to be honest, that like if nothing else. And Trey Murphy, I think is exciting, but like, I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe I maybe make the Kings feel better. I'd put Brooklyn down there.
Even though I know I'm gonna watch Brooklyn, I'm actually down to put Brooklyn in that tier because you're very much right. I mean, like this, like I've seen many like diehard fans of this team that I know say, "Yeah, man, we're pivoting to like overall content for the league." And when you hear that, it's like I
Dead
can't watch the
ass.
team anymore. Yeah, yeah. So
I fair. I mean that is a great show of what that team is currently at. It's
there
a
you go.
shame. You never want to see a team stink for that long, but it is what it is.
True, true, man. Let's go to a somewhat exciting team. The Phoenix Suns.
Hmm.
Beat out a lot of expectations last year. I'll say this: Devin Booker to me was largely mid for his standards last year, but I still think he's a good player, and I think he actually has a better season this year. You can argue the Suns should have been even better if Dylan Brooks didn't get injured, and obviously Jalen Green missed a chunk of the season. I think Jalen Green is very fucking ass, but he
Hmm.
always has a month where it's like he's the best player in the league this month. So I truly feel like the growth and development of Jalen Green with a very good head coach. Also, a guy I was really high on, I would say Malawak if he gets like real minutes and burn this year. Also, a guy on the team that no one talks about that I love, also Iguodala had some really good moments last year as well. I low-key like the Suns. I think I will put the Suns in lead pass activated, honestly. I'm right with that.
Yeah, I've at first I was leaning C, and I spent some more time on it. I'm like, I think they're definitely B. Like
Yeah.
the one piece of drama, I'm curious to see if it happens. Dylan Brooks can like, wear out his welcome in places. Is he gonna wear out his welcome with Jordan Ott?
Right.
Um, because like he did have a really good season. Brooks was cool, but that also was kind of by accident slash surprise. I think this team this year is going to have a little more offensive organization. They
Sure.
signed Luke Kennard, who just had a career year. Um, that's good depth. I agree with you as far as like big man growth. I think they're going to try to slowly incorporate at least one of them more into the offense.
Yeah.
So that could switch some things up. And I mean, you're right. Jalen Green unfortunately drags his team down because I feel like you could almost make the case they're a Western Conference Charlotte if you got rid of Jalen Green,
Bro.
because then it's just a
Yeah.
bunch of organized hoops that are kind of coached well, but just don't have a great ceiling.
I'm going to say something that I'm confident hasn't been said. Jalen Green is the Julius Randle of guards.
Mm,
That's what it is.
yeah, yeah, that's unfortunately really good.
Sorry. Like, he just does shit. And sometimes it's like, oh, cool. But then other times it's like, you took 30 fucking shots with Devin Booker on your team?
Right. Empty the clip for no good reason. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not. Yeah, that's
yeah.
fair. But okay, I think League Pass is good though.
Oh, now where to put him is interesting. I think I put him over Memphis.
I would for
Yeah, that's fine.
all the reasons I said. I think that's fair.
I think that's valid. Okay. Last two teams.
Hmm.
One of them is involved in a RICO case. The other uh doesn't want to sign their big to overpay them. Let's go with the Pistons, man. I'm from Detroit. Why not?
Sure.
As a
Yeah.
Detroiter, this team was very fun last year. I gotta say, Asura Thompson was the best wing defender in the NBA, but
Hmm.
offensively, Jesus fucking Christ, like holy shit. Cade was a very fun watch last year. I'm sorry, Cade had a lot of ones
Oh
last
yeah.
year
Nothing to
where like,
apologize for.
yeah, no,
Cade's a great. That's a top 10 watch. Easy.
yes, I love watching Cade Cunningham play basketball. And listen, Jalen Duren was fun in the regular season, man. Like, I do
He
feel like,
was. Yeah.
listen, I do feel like the 14 games he played in the playoffs soured a lot of people on him. But I like the larger sample of hoops, he was a very good player. He was an all NBA caliber player to me in the regular season. So like if I'm on that, like I have to believe if they're able to come to a agreement and keep him, they're gonna still be a good team to watch. And I'm sorry, Asura Thompson hoops is fun. And I
Yeah.
pay currency to watch the Pistons. I will be in the
Yeah.
building actually watching these games.
Quite
Uh
literally, Adam Silver, take my money.
yeah, but where are you at right now on the Pistons?
I had them high B tier, man. I did because like Cade was terrific last year. In my notes, I said Cade MVP with like the eyes. I'm like,
Okay.
not likely, but really important MVP player. MVP caliber, whatever, but MVP of the team. I don't love their offseason personally,
I don't
but
either.
I think that they're in a weird spot. You lost Stu, which ain't great, but I understand like you felt like you weren't going to pay him long term. Paul Reed had a moment for you, so like cool. Um, I think we're again when we talked, we were like Kawhi staying going to the Raptors, Duran staying with the Pistons. So I think Duran is coming back. And yes, he did suck royally in the playoffs, but
Yeah.
like you said, he had a great regular season. I think he can get better. Like I don't think that was just him. Um, so we'll see. But nah, they're a fun watch, man. Here's the other drama if you want it, like because I don't think there's a ton of narrative stuff outside
Yeah.
of Cade. It's pretty much Bickerstaff reputation and low key job
Mm.
because Bickerstaff is really good at getting teams organized and building good defensive infrastructure, which job well done. He did it here. But get winning and getting over the top and like developing as like an offensive unit has always been like some kryptonite for him everywhere he's
Yeah.
gone. So
That's true.
he is now in the same spot. And it's unfortunate because like yes, you have like a really great offensive player in Cade, but I don't know that there's enough to support him just yet with this current roster. So I'm afraid he's kind of looking down the barrel of the same kind of season. Uh but yeah, you said Thompson. Thompson sucks royally on offense for sure. Like baffling kind of bad.
It's bad.
Um for such a skilled player, he really doesn't do a lot offensively, but absolute stock demon. Possibly
Complete
the best POA
inverse.
in the sport. Yeah,
Complete inverse on
exactly.
the other end. Yeah.
But he is the fun kind of defender. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you can have like a, not to hate on your guy, but like Rudy Gobert, who I understand to like a casual, an average viewer, not the most fun defensive player to watch.
Yeah.
Thompson's the total opposite. Dude's an absolute ball hawk and will literally go against the best offensive players on a night to night
Yeah.
basis. That's entertaining. So he's a plus, even if his offense isn't there. Cade's an obvious plus, and there's some other like cool dudes who I hope have an opportunity. The rookie out of Stanford, whose name is escaping me right now.
Ibuka.
Yes, thank you. I'm
I
excited
like
to
him
see
too.
him play.
Yeah.
I think he'll be cool. So yeah, I think Pistons are a pretty easy league pass. I just don't know what
Yeah.
else,
The thing that I'll say about Thompson as well is like what's so fun about him is that you'll see teams try to run shit to get him away, and he'll still
Literally, yeah.
recover to
Cavs did it.
like, you know what I'm saying, block a shot or still like watching him do what he does and then take it out into transition is fun. The thing I want to see
Mhm.
from Thompson though is like I feel like you can be a bad offensive player. I feel like with his athleticism, you just have to be a better slasher at the very least. Like, there's no
Yes.
reason why
Yeah.
he can't be a 12 point per game guy just off of like going to the basket and diving. Like, he should be able to do that
Definitely.
to me. So, I do want to see more of that on top of the handle. I think develop. All that being said, yeah, I have actual currency placed within this team because I do want to watch them play some teams in the league, and I live right by the arena. So for me personally, I'm going to put them at the top of league pass. I feel like if they address some of their concerns in the offseason, they will be prime time. But they're pretty
Yeah.
much at like the top of league pass for me this year.
Yeah, I think they're fighting pretty hard with Utah, but I'd be cool with putting them at above them for league pass.
Yeah. And last but not least, on this 30 team tier list, which we have made it through, fire. The team that has a RICO charge on them, where some things could happen with the owner. They could lose all of their future picks, period, in perpetuity. Um, I don't. So okay, so like I struggle with this because I don't love Brandon Ingram. I think Darius
Right.
Garland actually was on fire for the Clippers at the end of the season last year. But very much a rebuild of a team. They also have, I think, Benedict Mathurin.
I don't think he's technically re-signed yet, but yeah,
No,
he
I'm
probably
assuming
will
he's
go
going to
back.
resign probably.
Yeah.
I don't want to be overly disrespectful, but there is no desire I have to watch this team play basketball. And I don't think
Correct.
that puts them in turn the TV off. Uh I feel like it's a
Th-
blend between the end of no sub hoops or the top of left TV on.
Nah, they're definitely D tier, man. They
Oh,
might
okay,
be
okay,
worse than
yeah.
they might be worse than the Bucks for me. I ain't gonna lie. Like
Oh,
I
okay, word.
yeah, like BI hoops, respect to Wes. I don't care for it myself. Um I literally my only notes, back to normal, as in, back to them sucking, because
Back to
that's
normal.
their history.
Yeah.
Sorry, Darius. I still love Darius Garland. Still a fun player. Still, I still think is good. He just doesn't have a lot to work with. Trade bait once again, and aspiration. That's all I've got. Um,
Right.
yeah, man. I mean, realistically, they should be better than the Bucks just off of like Garland alone. But they stink. Yeah, they're definitely D tier. I'm honestly trying to come up with a reason why I like should have them over Nola, and I can't.
I'm trying to think about it too. Like, 'cause Zion's the biggest draw for New Orleans, but obviously the hell shit and just how defunct of a franchise that is. You have the Bucks with Tyler Hero, Jaime all of their guys, and Braden
Yeah,
Burry. In chat, Gene said, "Pistons not big in primetime hoops is criminal." Shout out my nigga K. I get it. I definitely
yeah.
understand why you would say that. Like, I'm actually going to games, but we can. I have to look at that in a minute here. Yeah, man. I think they're in this tier.
I'm leaving them there. Actually,
Would I want to watch a Bucks game over a Clippers game randomly on a Tuesday night that I happen to be off of work?
you know why you're going to. You know why you're going to pick that Bucks game.
Tyler Hero triple double.
None of that. Because that Clippers game is going to start at 10:30.
Oh fuck! I forgot. Yeah. Oh no! Wait a minute. Hold on, Chad. Derry made the best point. I am not staying up to 12:30 to watch Clippers hoops. Absolutely not. Yeah. No.
Absolutely.
No. I'm good with that. Yeah. It's actually, because like I could buy staying up to watch a random New Orleans game if like Zion's hot, Trey Murphy's hot, and the team is just better than we thought, and like finally what happens. The upside for the Clippers is very low because even if they're good, I don't think I want to watch it still.
Exactly. You're not. You're already going to be doing it on a weekly basis with the Warriors.
Yeah.
And then when you watch the Pelicans, it's like a pleasant surprise. You know what I mean? Like, but there's no agenda for me to push. There's nothing for the Clippers. Absolutely nothing as they currently stand. So yeah, they stink. That's bottom of D tier.
All right, so that is our first places for these teams. Anything you would address? I guess we could talk about the Pistons if we think they should be in prime time. How far off are the Pistons from the Raptors?
They're not far at all. I mean, like again, for anyone if they just joined, like we're assuming Kawhi is very much going to be a Raptor at some point.
Yeah.
Uh, even if he gets suspended or something, like he is going to be a Raptor. So we're under that assumption. I think the combination of Scotty and Kawhi have me favor the Raptors.
Okay.
Just from that watchability. Like the Pistons are far off. I mean, they're really not. I feel like if I'm being generous, I can bump them. My question is like their toughest competition is the
Uh huh.
Utah Jazz. Like, is Utah going to be a more fun watch than Detroit? Is kind of what I'm asking because I think Utah is perfect for League Pass activated.
I think they are. I think the argument for Pistons is that when you look at the top tier of the President Hoops teams, all of those teams have an All Star or All NBA player present, and Cade
Yeah,
is probably like one of the better players to belong in that tier. I think we look at the League Pass tier, like,
he's the best player.
well, yeah, hey, is Cade better
Yes.
than Jokic?
Oh wait, where you got?
I'm
For
talking about
Denver?
the prime
Oh,
time
you talking
tier.
about Oh, you were
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
prime time. I thought you were talking about
yeah.
League Pass. My bad. My bad. My
No,
bad.
no, no, no,
Okay,
no, no. Yeah,
because he's
yeah,
not. Yeah,
yeah.
he's
No,
not better than Luka. He's not better than Jokic. No, no, no.
yeah.
Or yeah, he's not better than Giannis.
Right, right, right. But I'm just saying, like, he's of that caliber in terms of like you
Sure.
want to
Yes.
watch him. You know what I'm saying? The only other player in this tier with Cade that is being held down by his team is obviously Curry because Curry is still
Yeah.
like a superpower force you're gonna want to watch at some point for sure. Huh, I gotta think about that because I I feel like I'm biased because again I go to games, so I'm gonna watch it regardless of like what happens. I'm just trying
Hmm.
to gauge like the public conception of how they view the Pistons, if that makes sense.
Right.
But I do think Pistons Raptors is. I mean, they're both defensive first teams that can have a cloggy offense, but I do think K and Kawhi are the draws.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, does the Scotty factor? Is Scotty? I hate to go like just roster for roster. Like, if
Yeah,
Cade and Kawhi are equal, quote unquote, as far as like star power, which I think is probably fair. Like Scotty versus Asar Thompson. Like low key, I think is the next thing. I mean, like Jalen Duren, but like, do I like watching Jalen Duren hoops?
I
Like he's
so
cool,
so like I think during the regular season, a lot of people did enjoy watching Jalen. I just think he played so poorly in the playoffs. Now his image is completely shattered because of that. But I still think in regular season he's gonna have a lot of fun moments. I will tell you this though, Scotty Barnes is very fun, but
right?
I'm telling you, like the shit you see a Sora do defensively is not normal, and people do want to watch that. I mean, listen, in the playoffs, it was insane to watch, and he would have 8 points in the game, but like the defense was
Hmm.
just such elite, you would want to see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I guess I'm banking on like a Scotty boom more
Yeah,
so. Like I think having a Kawhi like just opens up Scotty's game more. I don't know, I just trust his development.
it definitely does.
It's never
Yeah,
like linear, but it kind of feels like it will be. So
I agree.
I can't, I don't know. I feel like I don't have a will to Detroit. I just have a tough time currently moving them out. If they were able to make a splash and get like another name or just someone next to Cade, that's the thing. I
Yeah,
just don't think they have that guy that can alleviate Cade's pressure or just be next to him just yet. I think if they had that guy, it'd be different. But
I agree with you. Honestly, I like the Pistons. I think they're close to the Raptors, but that's why I think the Raptors at the bottom of prime time and the Pistons at the
yeah,
top is how you show how close it is at the very least.
right. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
way of putting it. I think the rest of it is honestly pretty good, man. I mean,
I think so too.
like I think Giannis and Luca being right next to each other in A tier is good. The Wizards are like maybe they're a little high, but At the same time, we listed why they were going to be such a fun
It's
watch.
just the like assortment of talent you have, and like the young player narratives, and like all that, like,
Right.
and like the market, like that team has been fiending for a good basketball team for a while. So just all of that makes them very interesting at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think we did well, man. I think this looks pretty good. Again, these teams, this may not be the order for seeding, but this was going to be pretty. I think this is accurate for watchability for sure.
Yes, I think this is a very good tier list. I am probably gonna post this tomorrow, so W session. We are gonna be
Yeah.
doing some more tier lists up here soon. Pretty much. I'm gonna be sending out the back signals to Real Talk, Damian West. Like we're gonna be having a lot of these tiers, especially when we get to ranking players, which I think because it's gonna be four of us or five of us at a time with this shit, we should probably keep it to just top 10 and just are you top 10 or not? Because top 15
Yeah.
becomes very, very much like a shot of you have him at 13. No, he's really 12.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I agree. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. But overall, W tier list. Is there anything else basketball wise you wanted to get off before we get up out of here? Because we have been live for damn 3 hours. That's
Yeah,
actually
I
insane.
was about to say, I mean, if you stay for the whole thing, appreciate the support.
Yeah, salute.
Um, you're definitely sickos like us. That's great. No, I've got nothing. Yeah, we'll be back soon. The season is creeping up very quickly, as Gifted said. I mean, this is the off season's wrapping up, man. We're about to like end free agency here soon and back to real hoops. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate everyone tapping in. Make sure to turn on your notification bell for more updates, and this list should be officially posted on Twitter probably sometime tomorrow. I got to go get some things to eat, so I'm gonna go do that. But peace out,
For sure.
people. Have a great one. Appreciate everyone that came out to the stream. Salute to y'all, man. Peace.